I'm fine. It's gone. You need to come over here. Let's put the monitor down.
Okay, it is now 7 o'clock. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Let's go ahead and do roll call. Go ahead, Chris.
Travis Sturz, Ward 1.
Deborah McIsaac, Mayor.
Nikki Oyen, Ward 1.
Ryan Sending Ward 2.
John Good City Attorney.
Thank you. Mr. McGreevy,
Brian McGreevy, Ward 2.
all present and accounted for. Let's go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now we're looking at the approval of minutes. It looks like we have October 17th. Any corrections?
Not see any issues. I will approve the minutes.
Well, perfect, Travis. I like that. Travis has the first.
I'll second.
Nikki's got the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, that's good. Then we have claims payable, just for everybody knows, we had an update at the last minute because we had some October billing that needed to come through here. And so, this isn't going to be the same as it is on the website, but we can get that updated. There's a couple of other things in there. Did you see anything when you were looking through the? Okay.
Hey, Lacey, who is Jessica Fidels?
One of our citizens. She had a fat finger mistake when she was putting her payment in.
Oh,
Poor thing, I know, poor thing.
Poor girl. Okay.
Make a motion to approve payables.
Okay, I got a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ryan's got the first, Nikki's got the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to public time.
I just saw things on the agenda that might apply to me out in, new to town.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I'm here to watch and, is this the only time the public can talk, or as they come up, can you talk?
We're kind of flexible, but like if you have a specific thing that you want to talk about, now would be the time if you're bringing something specifically.
Well, there was a thing about the, water line out there, wasn't there, or no? Mine, about the
Water main.
Does it apply to the loop?
The water main will be?
Yeah, how I'm on closed loop and open loop, or is that not being addressed tonight?
We'll probably, I mean, we've addressed it several times. Is there, how about when we get?
I didn't know if something was changing, and then I played hockey, I saw ice rink discussion, so I thought I'd listen.
Nice.
to them.
Well, welcome to Baltic.
You know me,
Yeah, I know, but not everybody else does.
okay.
Would you like to introduce yourself so everybody knows who you are?
I'm Jason Breyer. I moved out on the east end of town,
Uh-huh.
so.
So he lives on 7th Street. And he has wonderful kayaks. Yeah, water's too cold. And I can't find water, it's so low, so. Thank you, Jason. Okay, so anyone else for public time? Okay. We're gonna go to old business. We had originally intended to discuss operating agreements. We have a couple more things that we need to prepare for that conversation to make it fruitful. So if I could get somebody to motion to table that until the next meeting, that would be wonderful.
I'll make a motion to table operating agreements till next meeting.
Okay, Ryan and Travis has that.
Okay, time out a second.
Mm-hmm.
I have to send my applications in now. Is that gonna affect this?
Well, they're due by the end of the month. We may have to have a special meeting, I think is where this is probably gonna go.
Yeah, next
potentially.
week.
But I've looked at, the packet that you got that you sent to me. And, she said as long as it's by the end of the month, she's fine, end of December.
Okay,
Oh,
End of December. End of December.
okay.
can do it regular.
Yeah, I was thinking in November.
Yeah, I mean, well, it is November 17, I think is a date, is a soft date.
Yep.
But she's fine, and we've got, the council's got some decisions to make,
Mhm.
and there just hasn't been enough time to get all the troops together. So,
Right.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that a little bit.
You want me to talk about it or not? But we tabled, so you should take a vote.
We haven't voted yet.
Why don't you give them a quick rundown of what's going on? So that way we can get them up to speed. We're tabling making a decision, but
Well, basically, the council, you all need to decide how you want to handle alcohol in the operating agreements
and video lottery.
and video lottery. There is a markup. I guess this is just informational. But there is, for example, a pretty customary markup is 10% on beverages, 11% on wine, farm wine and liquor. In order to have 10% on beer, I have to go back and make sure we have a local option ordinance in place in the 1980s. If not, we're stuck with 5% markup. So the bottom line is that this was an ignored topic for 18 to 20 months or so. And we need to get back up into what's usual and customary for Baltic, which is one of the few local option communities, which means that the city holds the licenses. It actually is called a license that's issued, but it's done under the purview of the city.
Operating agreement.
Yeah, and so there's a host of provisions that operating agreements have to have. And Lacey and I have been talking about this. I mean, I will say that I was pleased to see that we are charging the appropriate fees for the beverage license applications. And there's a little bit of housekeeping to do, and the council needs to make some decisions.
But we wanted to do some, get some more data together for you guys and get it out to you so y'all can review it. So that way you could make an educated decision instead of just throwing it at you. And in light of, all the other things that were happening, we just didn't have enough time to get that done. And John and I had been traveling this month, so that also cut into a little bit of our ability to get things together for you by this meeting. So, but we'll get it together.
Yep.
And then we'll make it, you guys can make a decision.
And
But
Larry,
then you can feel good about it because you'll have the information to back it up.
exactly. So we've got, Lacey has been talking to Lara Cunningham, and I followed up. She's the senior revenue agent for the Department of Revenue. Her whole job is liquor stuff. It's our statutes are very confusing
Mhm.
to say the least.
Yes.
So
So we'll try to make some sense of it
we will.
and try to right the ship on this.
Yes.
The state of South Dakota doesn't give municipalities very many opportunities to have revenue to run on. And a lot of taxpayers don't understand that when a city runs, they have very limited means for revenue. One being property taxes, assessments, sales tax, the penny tax, the 3rd cent tax. And then the state doesn't really give municipalities the freedom and leeway to just willy-nilly, come up with reasons to generate income. And so when we have to fix a street or we have to do fix a pothole or we have different projects, it's gonna come out of probably utilities. We were lucky enough to have the ARPA funds to be able to do the closed looping. And, so we're very limited. So one of the opportunities for our city, because the people that were here well before us, chose Baltic to be an operating agreement, which gives us a little bit of latitude. It's not necessarily to, be a vehicle to, dissuade commercial development. That's not the point of it. The point of it is that it is a viable revenue source and that it is taxed differently than other items that would be taxed with just general sales tax. So hopefully that gives you a little more information.
And frankly, I wouldn't say windfall, I guess, but the benefits to an establishment that sells either retail on sale or off sale or both. They can do so under the city's umbrella without having to buy liquor license.
And liquor licenses in other cities are substantial. I mean, everyone knows what it costs in Sioux Falls. It's substantial. So it is actually a marketing tool that Baltic could use as a city to bring businesses in, because actually the council gets to decide how many of these operating agreements we want. We have no limitation. So, so it's just kind of how you look at it and how you want to use it, but we want to be responsible about it. And more importantly, have you guys educated and feel good about how we're doing it and that you feel comfortable explaining it. So that's what we're gonna do. Any questions? So I think we have a first tabled on,
Did you vote?
no,
Oh, the first and second.
We have first and second.
who was the first and who was the second?
Brian was the first.
Travis.
Thank you. And so all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we're gonna table that, and then you guys will get some more information from John. On to more fun things, water rate increase. We had talked about this at the last meeting, and as you guys recall, it's more of a forced fee, because the place where we get our water from is increasing their fees. They're actually looking at building a bigger facility, and that hasn't quite trickled down to us yet, no pun intended, but there is gonna be a fee increase, and so we have to decide as a city how we want to do that. If I recall correctly, last month, we kind of talked about just making it a pass-through expense and not, doing anything more than what we absolutely had to. And so, did I summarize that okay, Lacey? And so effective January 1st of 24, the water rates are increasing 15%. So, or 37 cents per 1,000 gallons. And so, yeah, so basically we were gonna take a look at increasing water rates by 15% to be able to pass through that cost, because the city doesn't have any way to absorb that, as I had just discussed before, because we're not a revenue engine.
I'll just say with this, right now, the way that our rates are they're actually kind of behind the ball. Because we're going negative, because it's supposed to be its own enterprising fund and operate on itself. With our fees now, we're actually barely breaking even, kind of like that is, so we're increasing them, so that it is a little bit larger than what the pass-through fee is, but we still need to operate our facilities and everything, so.
So basically what that means is the city of Baltic operates on a shoestring to make sure that the citizens of Baltic get the best rate that we can give them, is what that means. Whereas other cities have the ability to mark that up above and beyond the rate increase, and they're self-managed with those rates too, aren't they? And so, so Baltic tries to not gouge our citizens, with our utility rates. We do what we have to be able to run the city. So that's where we're at. So I need, do you have any other discussion or any other questions about this?
Am I get this right, that if we do a 15% increase per gallon, it'd be 1/100th of a penny per gallon? Is that, or am I like completely not understanding what's going on with the,
Be 9 cents per 1,000 gallons increase. Right,
9 cents per gallon.
Per gallon.
per gallon.
So what we're looking at is, our base rate isn't it like 3,000 gallons for the minimum? So 3,000 gallons for the minimum. And I know that my water / garbage bill is somewhere around $94. And so then, is that about right? I think 94 is about where I'm sitting right now. And so then 94, if you add, 15% of it, then we're gonna be looking at just a little bit over 100, right? If I do my math correctly. So, cause 9, yeah. So just 103 is what we're looking at. And, which comparably to other cities, it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad. And, we don't really have a choice at this. So,
I would like to say, go to the convenience store, buy a bottle of water, that's $2, and what our increase is, you're getting 3,000 gallons for that same $2 pretty much.
that's a good point. Any other discussion or questions?
I think it's pretty straightforward. We make motion to approve a 15% increase per gallon.
Travis is the first.
I'll second.
Nikki's got the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There we go. Happy New Year. On to chickens. John, I'm gonna turn this over to you, our resident chicken expert.
They have, hired to become very familiar with brooding chicks, pullets, and hens. You have in front of you ordinance number 313. And,
You should be able to answer which came first then.
the chicken or the egg. right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is it?
I think that,
I'm sorry, interrupt.
whatever it was,
I'm not allowed to.
it was good. I think somebody said it was good after it was created. See, I wasn't there.
Oh, I thought you were there.
So Stephanie Peterson is amazing. He has Fruit of the Coop. I think I've mentioned before,
Yes,
she, places a coop load of chicken eggs in all kinds of restaurants. all over.
300 dozen.
It's crazy.
Yeah, mounts,
And she,
yeah.
has a real passion for chicken, very, very nice person. And I went to her, talk or seminar, whatever you would call it, back at the library in Sioux Falls in August. So then Nikki and Ryan, who else was on the chicken committee? Just the two of you.
I was on it, I don't think that.
You brought me some stuff from other places.
Yeah.
And so,
And this is what they hatched, is that?
yes, so yes, this is what we laid. Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, I started.
I know, it's okay, so
Let's crack into it.
I had a great talk with Stephanie Peterson earlier this week,
I hear you collecting.
and I gave her a draft of the previous ordinance that we had reviewed last meeting. Added a few things, I added pullets as a category. Fine tuned the ages of, what a chick is, what a pullet is, and 8 months is approximately the laying age. This is it's a good ordinance. I'm pleased with it. I hope you all are. It provides a great economical food source, and I think contains the right kind of restrictions. Section 90.005 has limitations on the number in keeping. No more than 6 hens in any residential lot, more than an acre size lot, if we even have one of those,
Mhm,
can have up to 8.
mhm.
So, you can have replacement chicks and pullets on hand, but you can't sell them. But you can hold them for cyclical replacement.
Fryers, can you have fryers?
Well, no.
Just like in my for the eggs,
Correct, very good question, not for the,
and why?
well, because we started with eggs. I suppose you could kill one.
We could morph into,
If, I mean, nobody would probably say anything.
Well, when he said cyclical, I think that means you can,
Well, I think you did, because I didn't realize this, but chickens, kind of like humans, have fixed number of eggs.
really,
And so when they're out of eggs, they're out of eggs.
really,
And thankfully, with humans, we don't do
the same.
the same thing as happens with chickens.
Yeah.
When they stop laying eggs, generally, there's no point having them around unless they're a companion.
Bow
So
shut.
here we do, this with fryers, and see how this goes first.
Yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. I don't know that people
Rose to clean
want to have chickens.
because they're.
I don't know.
And if you ever had one, my brother-in-law,
No.
So,
Oh, wow. Very tasty.
oh,
yeah, they're good.
better than you get at Costco or.
Well, here's the thing, Jason, and I can tell you're an intelligent man, if you thought the chicken was better in the pot than on the roost, you could just pull one offline and.
Nobody's telling you you can't.
But it-
You could say, well, your egg laying days are over.
well, you're out of eggs, so.
So, what John did is he put this all together. So this is gonna be first reading.
Actually, it's gonna be second.
This is the second reading. I'm not sure if you made enough changes.
Wow, I could probably take it through,
So here's my
first
point.
couple. You want it to be? first?
Well, that's what I need to ask council. The reason why is because this ordinance is substantial for the city of Baltic. It affects a lot of people.
It does.
I think it's important that we let the citizens know that we're actually reviewing this. And so, and then people who know if their neighbors are gonna have chickens, they should probably take a good look at this and see if there's anything that they need to check on, need to measure, you know, that type of thing. If you're thinking about having chickens, you should probably read this and measure and figure out if that works for you, for your yard, where it's at, what you think.
We are considering it. Don't mean to interrupt, I don't, can't or whatever, but I thought you would allow fryers, because you don't eat you don't eat laying egg chickens. But, if fryers are plump and, you know, you don't have the antibiotics and hormones and all that crap, and they're phenomenal, but, I was just curious why the two steps start with laying and then the other one is it problematic in any research?
Well, there was a lot of opposition to laying hens in the past here in Baltic.
There's some history.
And I talked to Stephanie Peters about that a little bit, and I told her, I said, you know, I've observed that people that have kind of an extensive farm background, when it comes to having chickens in town, they think of raccoons, fox, possum,
That will come.
disease, rats, insects, mess, manure,
Smell,
smell, I guess. I mean,
Roosters crowing and,
no.
yeah, you don't want the
We don't-
rooster.
No roosters.
Yeah, no cockerels or roosters, yeah.
John, you mentioned there.
Yeah.
We had some discussion about that very topic.
Yep.
When we were first looking at this, am I missing where the proper disposal is defined?
Well, you can't dump it. You could take it out to the, you know, I suppose the dump, you know.
Because the question was raised at that time, if we were going to expect garbage and water to haul it away for them.
No, we wouldn't be able to.
If you're gonna have chickens, you would need to be versed in what the disposal process is. That's gonna be your due diligence as a chicken owner to know the proper ways to dispose of waste. As is a cattle or anything else, but
Travis, only because that is so broad, what I think is proper.
right,
You might not.
but who's telling us what's proper? That's what I'm saying too, is what, figure out what actual proper is. Which I don't know what it is, but making sure that we as a council and you as a citizen all know what the proper needs are.
So again, just kind of fortifying that whole thing that everybody probably needs to take a minute and read this. And make sure, you know, before we go and pass something like this, that everybody has their questions answered. And that we're ready to move forward with it.
Any question, Dick?
Yes, I was reading this. Ordinance. Not pertaining to chickens. Definition of animal. And you know that water
Yeah,
is, which I totally understand. I guess my question is, it doesn't define or protect, say anything which, like cats. That's an animal, it's not on a leash, yet cats are running everywhere, but by this, someone can come and pick up someone's cat.
they could, in fact,
Absolutely.
if that's the existing ordinance, I should clarify that. The only things that are new here are the things that are underlined. Everything else in subchapter 90 is current language. So the definition of the only new things that are added are the underscored provisions. I should have started with that.
Thank
So
you.
basically,
That's
what I've done is taken the existing animal ordinance, folded in chicken provisions. But to keep the
and I think if you limit it to four hands,
six.
yeah, that's a little better. Most people are gonna think it's worth that.
It's a lot of work.
It is
For
a-
6, it is, you scale up pretty fast. If you can raise, 12 or 15. You're gonna lose some amount of eggs.
But again, the idea isn't necessarily to encourage commercial.
Yes, I know, you don't want, I get it.
I think we can-
And then the smell and all that, I'm just saying, my point was, at 6, you're not gonna, I don't think you're gonna get a huge amount of people doing chickens if it's limited to 6 unless you have an acre.
I think people, this is mostly for home consumption. and maybe a few friends or.
But remember, we gotta start somewhere. I'm not saying that once we get the wheels on the ground and get actually working with this and figure out, well, maybe 8 is better. Or maybe 4 is better, who knows?
But to
It's you need to start somewhere.
if you have a boa constrictor and it's running at large, yeah, you could call the Humane Society, they come and pick it up, maybe. Or, I don't know what they do.
Well,
But animal is anything.
you might also have the other side, too much of a backlash from the other side too, opposing of this. You never know what's gonna happen in a year from now.
You don't know. Yeah, now, Stephanie Peterson also offered free, no charge, to come and meet with any group of people
We
that,
absolutely should do that.
yeah, she was enthusiastic about that, and so,
Lacey, can you make a note of that? When is chicken season? When do they start getting them? February?
well, Easter,
March, I thought.
I think around March is when people put it.
Would you make a note that at the beginning, try to schedule her to come in at the beginning of March before people start getting their chicks, so she can come in for a workshop? Let's get her on the books. So that way we have that in advance and we're ready to go. There is a manure thing here. It's number 9, Deb. It says manure storage. And it talks about that.
But it's kind of like anything else, people, if they are of a mind to or neglectful, can create problems. Just like dogs, people can take it for walks and then let them go in the neighbor's yard, not pick up the stuff.
Remember, it's in the ordinance too, that if they are not disposing properly, or they are going against whatever provisions are set aside here, that their permit can be revoked. Basically, it gives the city the option to say you're not capable, you're not able to
Right.
maintain chickens, obviously, because you haven't done so in the
That
correct
helps.
manner. So it gives the city the power to be able to.
And manure and co-op and coop waste and food shall be picked up every 24 hours thereafter, kept in an airtight and rodent-proof container and properly disposed of thereafter on a routine basis. So,
Smell can't cross property lines. There. So,
I mean, John did a great job putting this together. He did a lot of research, ate a lot of chicken, a lot of eggs.
what all changed? Did you just clean up spelling from,
yeah, like,
1 to 2?
sure, I got cleaned up spelling.
I didn't know if any of this stuff was all,
I eliminated a height limitation on coops after talking to Stephanie. Because and she made a good case for why you really don't need that. I mean, who's gonna build a tall coop? The answer is nobody. We talked also about the run, square footage. For example, in 90.005. She said that each chicken should have 4 square feet. So I put coop size may not exceed 32 square feet instead of 30. Run size may not exceed 64 as opposed to 60. And that really, she thought it was a good ordinance. And
she gives the blessing on it. I would say that says something about it. That it's solid overall.
So in the agenda, this is a second reading, so we could vote for this, move it, because remember, the ordinance process is, still pretty open, even if we vote for this. In the second reading, yep, it goes to publish, and then it publishes for 21 days. And then people still have the opportunity to say, no, we don't want this, and they can come back and do a referendum against it. So at the end of the day, the people still get to say if they want this or not. So you guys can just either move it to the next step of the process, and then the citizens of Baltic get to either let it go its way or say no. Or they can balk at it.
Hey, can I add something?
Yeah, Brian,
Yeah, so that number 6 was standardized in the communities that pretty much surround from Sioux Falls, Del Rapids, Garrett, to Crooks. That 6 was kind of the standard number. And that's where we came up with the number 6.
you said. Sorry, I had my speakers on.
I'm sorry, I omitted you from the chicken committee.
Yeah, it was me
It
and
was
Brian.
those two.
I'm sorry.
It was those two.
Oh, it wasn't you, Ryan? Oh.
Look at him taking credit.
Wow.
Okay, what would you guys like to do?
You want me to mention one other thing?
Yes, I do. Could you please mention one more thing?
Okay, thank you. Stephanie did mention that she made special note of the restriction to keep chickens only within areas zoned to permit single-family dwellings. She said, I hope at some point that, for example, if there are duplexes or other perhaps potentially non-single family dwellings, that at some point there might be a willingness to allow an expanded use of a coop, for example, if somebody owns half a duplex, they could have a coop. Currently, they can't. So, she's a pro, she's pro chicken.
At that time, would you be changing the requirement regarding the adjacent?
We'd have to,
Because right now it's 25 feet
Yeah.
from my door,
we'd have to do something,
you know, in a duplex,
yeah.
might be hard to do.
And that's why currently we're only allowing single family.
It's a good starting point.
Agreed. What would you guys like to do?
I don't see any reason to not vote on it tonight.
Okay,
No,
It was on, obviously it was on last month's agenda,
Mhm.
on this month's agenda, plus we still have 20,
we've been
One day,
talking about this for quite a while.
We have,
3 years, 2 years, something like that, probably overall.
Yeah.
So I would hope that if an opinion is waiting to be heard, that it comes out if it needs to, but I think we've all talked to a lot of people about this topic for quite some time. I would make the motion to approve ordinance 313 as written.
Travis is the first.
I would like to second.
Brian's gonna be the second, the voice of God. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? We have moved it to the next two, ladies and gentlemen. One step closer to chickens. The 2024 appropriations, it was my error. We've already done the second reading on this and we just have to get it published, right? So we're good to go on that. So we can, look, we're just moving right along, aren't we? Isn't that great?
I was concerned when chickens took 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be surprised the things that take a lot of time.
know.
So, settlement agreement, I would like to suggest that we move that towards the end of the meeting, so that way we can get through the other stuff, but I would need somebody to make that suggestion.
I'd like to make a motion to move the settlement agreement to the end of the meeting.
Okay, we'll move that down to, right after mayor update. How does that sound?
okay.
Do I need a motion for that?
I just gave you one.
Okay, I got a first. Can someone give me a
I'll
second?
second.
Nikki's got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're moving that down to the bottom to save you guys some time. It's primarily going to be executive session discussion, just so you know. And then, new business, contract renewals. We have all sorts of contracts we need to talk about. See here, where are we starting? SMGA, did I get that one? I have that somewhere here. Hold on a second. Just looking. I thought I had it. Do I not have it? Top left? Let's see. Okay, I thought I had the letter up there. I'm sorry that I don't. This morning, I opened all of those. So anyway, SMGA is Sioux Metro Growth Alliance. That is the economic development group that's based out of Sioux Falls that has essentially been around for a couple of years now to assist with advising bedroom communities in Sioux Falls to help them grow. So a little background information, we've had a membership with them and we also hired one of their inaugural consultants to help with that. And then the council deemed that investment was probably not the direction that we wanted to go. And so now we are back to so then we had that position cease. We brought that back in-house. And then now we are looking at the annual agreement. Does everybody have this, Lacey? Oh, okay. All right. So then, what they did is they said that they increased their rates. And so, where it is, we are, sorry. The membership has gone up a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, and so our investment would be $3,909 for the year of 2024. And so the different things that SMGA does is they have the magazine that they put out. They have submitted RFIs, which is request for information for different bid things. What we have found is primarily we have not had the opportunity to take advantage of any of those because they usually require substantial utilities that we don't have accessible to. It's a lot of manufacturing, a lot of stuff that would be in a huge, they need a big industrial park, you know, that kind of thing. And so it's not necessarily a fit for our community. They have a mayor's roundtable that I have been striving to go to every month. I consider that the most valuable thing of the organization because it allows me to have a community of other mayors to be able to commensurate with and be able to compare notes and things like that.
Yeah, but
Other than, what's that, Brian?
I attended part of their summit. I found useful information there.
Yep, they do have a summit.
In the video
Here,
stream,
just a second, Brian. Let me get you connected to the speaker so people can hear you.
Who's on this? Here.
The other, councilman.
Brandon Green.
Brian, why don't you give us a talk now?
Sure. So I did go to part of their summit and I found there to be a lot of useful information. I can't really see in my image here. Is there anybody in the meeting tonight from BADF that would like to speak about it?
I don't see anybody present.
They seem to utilize anyone, so I figured they probably would be here, but. No. Okay.
So we just have to decide if this is something that we want to continue to invest in and be a part of. As you know, Jesse Fonkert, who had created the organization, has moved on up to the governor's office, and he's in the governor's office of economic development now, which is good for him. So that was a good accomplishment. And so, what other questions do you have? What other things can I offer?
I want to know, what are we getting for $3,900 a year?
You get
Besides mayor's table and one day at a summit.
and RFIs that we don't qualify for.
Okay, so those are off the table.
And they're mailed the pamphlet or brochure, booklet.
They send
And
out,
us as a community that's listed, so it goes out to any businesses coming in, so they can look at us.
Keeps our town in front of prospective people that might be thinking about
Is
it.
this an active organization trying to gather more cities and providing more value, or are they just
They
stagnant?
pretty much have every city within their, so they're.
They're in about-
Falls in Lincoln County, right?
there are about 13 cities, I believe is what it is. Hold on.
Back in the day, it used to be Makita.
That's what it was.
Makita.
That's what I was, yeah,
So,
which was Minnehaha, Lincoln County.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just saying I'd like to get more bang for my buck.
Thinking there had to be a reason why you dropped them to begin with, so unless that reason is no longer there, why would you take them back with an increase?
Well, what we had for them before was, we've had SMGA in years past. We had their economic development specialist who worked solely in the city. That was separate than our standard SMGA membership. We've had this membership, I'm pretty sure, as long as I've been around.
since I think it's almost
Well,
more.
we were one of the
We were in
inaugural,
Makita before too.
Right.
yeah, we actually were one of the first places
founding
that,
members of
yeah,
it.
we were a founding member of Lake Makita.
Am I missing something? It sounds like people are talking about that there's some value that I must be missing something. Why
More so staying,
4,000 taxpayer dollars? Why are we spending that? What tangible is coming out of it from city?
You know, that seems to be a point of discussion, Jason, and there's several schools of thought on this. You know, and Travis makes valid points. You know, it's always good to have your name out there. It's always good to, you know, let people know about Baltic and what Baltic has to offer. There's also a group of, you know, citizens that believe that, you know, that marketing of that messaging could be handled in a different way. If I've also heard feedback from citizens that say, how do we know that Baltic is getting promoted over other cities like Lenox or T or Garrettson or
Is it
Camden?
digital? Is it a magazine?
There's a magazine that goes out to member
Right.
cities, print. There's a website. There's, they have had some events in the past. And, I'm trying to get a list of the number of cities.
They do seem to have some sort of a pipeline to the state when it comes to potential grants and things like that, that can be asked to.
Those grants though, Brian, and I don't mean to, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
those grants we can get through CCOG.
Right, okay.
My point is that I have a digital marketing and advertising background. You know, are they touting they have a ton of website traffic? And they have a bunch of analytics that show us that our town's getting promoted and this magazine's getting picked up and read by people and they're seeing Baltic and they're
Are
tangible
there
results.
clicks? I mean, yeah.
This kind of seems
Not
like.
have data that back that up at this time.
It's how much of it's on a like a resident basis, or how much of it's on the what you would call the wholesale or the commercial side of it that may not be people like you and I seeing it too. That I don't know.
A lot of it is, when I was on it years ago as a mayor in another community, it was set up for that outreach. They could reach out to this one person, they would sell their communities. Brandon was one of the members, but they also did their own economic development. So if you see Marmon, that was not, it was tied in with, I'm gonna say Makita back in the day.
Mhm.
They were together, but really it was Brandon. So bigger Sioux Falls has their own forward Sioux Falls, all that stuff is them. This was a consortium of the smaller communities working together. Then when the state of South Dakota, the governor's office started with their economic development, they've been a big push. And they have the information out there for these ready sites. So what they have is there is a listing of sites that by acres, square feet, utilities that are listed on the state's website. Sioux Falls has that, Makita or SMGA has that also. But that's where those communities have those resources available, where we do not have any heavy industrial. We have very limited light industrial, that's what that thing is. So when a business is looking at expanding, they can make that one call. They could go to the governor's office would send them down to Sioux Falls, Sioux Falls would share it with SMGA. To say, hey, this doesn't work probably for our community, but it might work for yours. And if you have those resources available, that business will look at you.
So SMGA is, people do go to it. They want to open a Jersey Mike's in Baltic. They go to SMGA, they know to go there, and that's where you would go and find out the commercial real estate that's available to open a Jersey Mike's.
There's multiple locations that you can go to if you want to expand your business. SMGA is one of them.
Okay.
The challenge that Baltic has had is we don't really have a lot of land to be able to develop from an industrial standpoint. And SMGA has really focused on industrial parks and things like that to be kind of their space.
From what I've seen, I haven't seen any kind of push towards the commercial land that we have available. I've been a resident for 7.5 years, but I've been a member of the community since like 97. And I haven't seen anything brought to the table.
Well, I think that there have been different ideas that have brought to the table. I've heard things differently. It's getting it over the line to get it to go. I mean, they had some connections with the dollar store and they tried to get that to go on the city's land. And, and we're still working with that strip mall and trying to get that filled. But, the landowners that are in Baltic have those resources available to them. And they've all been spoken to. What do we have, less than a dozen commercial properties that we can develop in the city of Baltic? And we don't really have any landowners around the edges of Baltic that can expand. And I think the last time we had Ryan Solberg, who was the consultant at the time, he full on admitted that there wasn't any landowners adjacent to the city of Baltic that really wanted to develop land, particularly from an industrial standpoint. And we had some people that were looking at residential, but not necessarily commercial. And so I think that, I hope that we've conveyed that commercial development is obviously a priority for the city of Baltic. There's no question about that. We need it. But we are limited to what kind of, development we can have because industrial is really limited. I mean, incredibly limited. So then we just have commercial. And with a commercial development, I think Nikki brought this up when we first went to the SMG presentation, when she very adeptly asked, well, why couldn't we just contact a commercial real estate agent and have them help? You know, and so then there was also, I think Ryan Solberg also reached out to all the landowners and said, would you like to have your land listed with a commercial real estate agent? And they, I believe, unanimously said no. I think they said, if you had somebody interested, give us a call. And so, you know, it isn't for lack of effort. It isn't for lack of, being aware of what we have and what our strengths are. I definitely think Baltic has the opportunity to, you know, be able to tell its story better. And I do think that we have, the people, you know, in the bus that can do that. But unfortunately, we've been distracted with all sorts of other things that are not normal in the course of operating a city. And so we've been kind of hogtied in order to do those things. So hopefully, moving forward, we'll have the ability to put our energy in that area and be able to tell the story of Baltic a little bit better to get that interest back into our town. Now, whether or not a membership of Sioux Metro Growth Alliance will hinge on the success of that or the demise of that, that's not for me to decide. That's for you guys to decide. That's what.
Deb, to your knowledge, or Lacey, has anyone from SMGA had any recent conversations with anyone affiliated with the city of Baltic at City Hall? Or has anybody from BADF worked with SMGA to have any discussions lately with the city of Baltic?
I
don't know the last ones. I know I had to sit down with a couple members of BADF, and the mayor at that time. We actually went down to SMGA to do some brainstorming on some just commercial conversations, basically, is what we had. So, we did utilize that resource. Obviously, that's been probably 2-3 years ago now.
And that was prior to the consultant too, right?
Correct, yeah.
The consultant.
That was kind of right as the BADF kind of got off the ground to kind of just get wheels moving, I guess is the biggest way to put it, but that was also COVID era, so a lot of things kind of, everything goes screeching halt during that time, and unfortunately, haven't really started, so.
Yeah, and you know, and it's rebuilding it back is tricky.
Well,
I know that during the recall, the BADF did have a meeting. And, I received the agenda during that time. And so, that's all I know. There's some minutes that you can see on there. I don't know if they have a Facebook page or whatever, but that information is
Yeah, do they
there.
have a new president?
What's that?
Do they have a new president running that now? A new person in charge of that?
I know that their leadership is still in place.
In the last 3 months, I've received 2 different projects. People looking for interest. One of them was a 10-acre high wastewater facility. And the other one had to do with livestock unloading and loading. Neither one.
And that's customary to the leads that we get.
Neither one.
You have to have like anywhere from 8 to 10 acres. I think the smallest I ever saw was 5, if I recall correctly.
This was,
But they all have massive water and electrical requirements.
yeah.
So we don't have the infrastructure for those types of deals. So it's just a challenge. I mean, we all know what it is. You can look around and see. You know, we have floodplain to the west of us. You know, we have rolling hills to the east of us. We have century-long farm families that, you know, are not gonna let go of that dirt out of their dead cold hands, you know, and I love that because, you know, it's our farm families that made this community and we honor that, but it does create some limitations about what we can do with our city. And massive expansion is probably not on our roadmap anytime soon, which was also completely agreed upon by our consultant that we had hired. He agreed that, you know, geographic expansion was really not an option for us. They did talk about doing a flagpole annexation, which is arguable whether or not that's something we can even do to get to the interstate. So we would have some land there, but then we would have to annex that, which, as we all know, annexing is really tricky, especially when you have commercial businesses that are really comfortable paying their taxes as is. And so then you have to get them agreed to do it, which is a heavy lift. We have to go all the way across that floodplain. We have to get up that hill. And then we have water and utilities we have to deal with. We had a gentleman that was across the interstate that was begging us to annex him. And we're like, we don't have the infrastructure to be able to do that. And he didn't have a big check to write. So it was just kind of dead in the water. So there's some very real challenges about our city. And I don't think that the value of SMGA to me is not the discussion that we're having today. You know, they clearly bring value to the organizations that are able to do the things that they bring to the table. The question is, where is Baltic today? And can Baltic take advantage of what SMGA has to offer? That's the question. This isn't a conversation about whether or not SMGA is valuable. You know, of course they are.
Oh,
They've been
I
around
wasn't
forever.
trying to say that.
It's just whether or not it is useful for us at this stage of Baltic and its growth and where we're at. That's the question. And is that worth $3,900? That is the question
Yeah.
at hand. Yes, Brian.
Your knowledge, do we have to be a member of SMGA to attend their summit, or can we pay a fee to attend that?
I am absolutely confident. Now, let me rephrase that. I would be surprised if SMGA would turn people away from coming to their summit. And maybe there's a member price and a non-member price. I cannot confirm or deny that, but I would be surprised if they would not widen the net for those events. They did a great job on that event. I believe Miranda Basie was the event manager for that, and she's pretty spectacular, and she knocked that out of the park.
She did a great job.
Yep, she sure did. So I don't think that, you know, as with Miranda not on board anymore, I don't know where they're gonna head with events because she had a superpower in that area. And so, but you know, I guess, you know, we'll see. Yeah. What other questions do you have? This is good discussion.
There was definitely a value to that. You know, the only thing I wish is that I wish I would have known more about it. I went to the one night worth of workshops. I wish I could have attended the day. I will for sure make sure if I'm around next year that I do both if it's available. But there is a definite value to that part of things.
Well, and also to that point, one of their main speakers was the founder of the group Strong Towns that has already been to Baltic and wants to come back again.
Well,
And they also have an online course that's sponsored by Strong Towns. I've actually registered for it. And it actually might prompt some really good discussion for our city, and there's some distinct value in that. So if there's one thing that I've taken away from SMGA was, you know, the Strong Towns connection. And that worked for me. They had some good ideas. Do you guys have a decision to make? You have a decision to make of whether or not you want to invest in what this organization has to offer, and if you feel that it's timely for the city of Baltic at this time.
I can't say it enough. I know that BADF does a lot of work with them, and I'm surprised that they're not here to talk about this.
Well, and the BADF as an economic development group can join the SMGA. They have the ability to be a member.
Do you think, is it something we could turn around and help them fund for their group? Is there potential for something like that? Or maybe.
Ryan, in all actuality, they've been pretty much taking advantage of our membership.
Well, yeah, I know they were.
They haven't paid to be a member, but they've been receiving all the benefits, including getting distinct economic development reports.
As a
As
citizen of the
members.
city, I would like to cancel it, and then if they provide value, come back to the table and sell themselves to the city council again.
Well, there's some feedback for you. Do
Yeah, I don't disagree.
you have any other citizen feedback?
I think we could spend that $4,000 somewhere else.
Do you have anything to say?
Supposed to get a lot of snow this winter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm not saying that
We're gonna say
SMGA doesn't have a value. I'm not saying that at all, but I don't know that it's the right thing for Baltic at this time.
Okay,
That's my opinion.
I make the motion to not renew the contract with the SMGA.
okay, I have a first.
I'll second that.
So I have a first and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed?
Aye.
So I have Just for the record, I have Nikki, Ryan, and Brian are all saying to cancel the membership, and I have Travis on the record for saying the membership.
Deb, can I put a caveat to that? Is that if they would be willing to come out and present a plan of action for us for a reason of membership, we could revisit this.
I think we can always revisit anything we want, Brian.
Okay.
I don't think there has to be a caveat. I think that's an open invitation for anybody that wants to do something in the city of Baltic.
To provide a reminder of what we have capable to us or available to us from SMGA, what they can do for us. I think it maybe has the reasons why we have the membership may have gone by the wayside, where we don't see exactly what they are, especially with city turnover, obviously, when new people come through. It's just, well, it's what the way it's always been. That's just, we're always members.
One of the things I'm surprised of in the business world, just my feedback, is canceling contracts. There's third-party providers in digital marketing and different marketing. I know that's not completely analogous, but you cancel a contract, they don't even come back and try to win it because they knew they weren't even a great fit for you to begin with. That may be the case here. Maybe they come back hard and you guys reinstate it.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe they let it go and then that's your answer right there. They don't even come back hard at you going, "Oh, we really weren't a fit for you anyways."
Well,
But
we
they
don't,
weren't gonna tell you because they're getting $4,000 check from you.
well, if we don't hear anything, we'll know what the answer is. So,
Well,
I mean,
when we
from
do
there.
hear something,
Travis,
see what we do.
Yeah.
Travis, when's the last time you had a conversation with anybody with economic development or with SMGA?
With our economic development
Yeah,
committee,
'cause I know just I'm asking because I know they work tightly together.
I guess I don't know, last time I talked with SMGA, like I said, we had a roundtable, I guess if you want to call it that. I've talked with our own economic development people here within the last couple of months, probably. I can't talk with SMGA, means we have a group of people that have handled more economic development than what I have available to me for time, so.
Sure. I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I've used them in the past. The city has used them in the past, I know. So
When you talked to the BADF, what did they have going on?
I didn't get terribly deep. I just wanted a little bit of info and that was, I didn't get into a deep conversation of what they were working on or anything like that.
Well, maybe they can come and share a little bit about what they're doing too. That would be nice.
It might be a good opportunity to get everybody back together again and figure out what our goals
Yeah.
are.
Deb, maybe we could invite them, maybe through a phone call, invite them to the next month's meeting, just to kind of get some communication going with them. BADF, that is. Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a note of that. Okay, that was a fun contract renewal. Let's do another one. So now we have the Sioux FS, which one's that?
Everything society.
Oh, yeah, that one. Okay.
Necessary.
Let's see here. Let's see.
Do they wrangle chickens?
I don't know if they ring.
They could.
Sorry.
Okay, so now we have the Humane Society. This is the standard contract we have year over year. Let me just get that scrolled down a little bit.
Well, there's no other service for this.
They do all the things that we know that they do. I don't mean to be so vague.
It's been the same contract
Yep,
year after year since I've been here.
yep. I was just looking for the amount.
John, it was probably the same one when you started.
Probably is pretty close.
Probably is. It's, what is it, $1,421.30 due in full by January 1, 2024. And they charge for emergency calls $60 per hour between 5 and 8.
It's a yearly or quarterly?
It looks like an annual payment of $1,421.30. Seems cheap.
Well, and if you guys all remember the German Shepherd that was in Baltic for what, 2 months?
Yeah.
And they came in, on multiple occasions trying to get that guy corralled in. And so, I mean, I have no qualms with the service.
I don't either.
There was another one within the last, actually, I just got the statement of services from this last month, and I think there were 3 dog bites and 1 quarantine and 1 drop off of a cage. probably to capture them.
We get business hours included in that 1,400, but if they have to come after outside business hours, it's emergency, $60 an hour.
Thought the first paragraph said 24/7, 360.
Charges for emergency calls between 5 p.m. and 8 a.m. are $61 per hour, charged in quarter hour increments plus mileage.
Yeah, there's, go ahead, Brian.
Am I reading the room? It looks like we're kind of all in favor of this, right?
This is an absolute no-brainer in my
Yeah, no brainer.
I'd like to do the, I would like to, vote in favor of passing, continuing the contract with it, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brian's got the first.
And authorize the mayor to sign.
Oh, yeah, sorry, but,
Price, the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
okay, so Brian's got the first, Travis has the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Motion passes.
Just
CCOG,
out of curiosity,
yes, Deb.
if someone from our community takes an animal to the Humane Society, are we charged for that claim? You mentioned a drop page. Was that them dropping a page here to try and collect something, or somebody taking a page?
Collecting them.
So I
Like
can't imagine
crap.
if you dropped an animal off at the city, whatever you charge for anything like that.
No,
Yeah, that's a totally separate,
yeah, that's not.
City's not even a part of it, I wouldn't think. I mean, if you had a dog, you know, like where I live on the west side of town, where if I had a dog that kept coming in my yard and I wanted to trap, then I would think that something like that would be charged towards the city because we're trying to trap a nuisance. But I can't imagine that.
I just really was curious.
Right,
City's pretty fortunate they didn't raise their rate.
Quick question, just to go back on spot. For the SMGA, since we have one name, do we have to do individual vote?
That's why I accounted for what the votes were for the
Okay.
record.
Just
I already
to
signed
cover everything.
I don't think so. I just needed to get that to Lucy, I'm sorry.
I never think. so.
Yep, I know, I was just handing it to you, wasn't I? I was talking at the same time, sorry. Okay, so we're on to CCOG. CCOG is the Southeastern Council of Governments. CCOG has been a resource that's been around for a very, very long time. It is probably one of the places that the SMGA goes to for information because this is, it's a larger group because it's Southeastern Council of Governments. And so there is hired staff that provide services to us as far as grant finding, CIPs, right? So they can help us. You have,
A little bit on
if
this.
there's a little bit of overlap between,
One of the biggest things that they help facilitate is like SRF loans in New York, right?
that's right.
So they'll work directly with Danner, Lacey, and ISG to make sure all those loans are in place, loans are set, draw loans, et cetera. When it comes to construction, we'll need certified payrolls, that'll help facilitate all of it. So,
And ordinance.
yeah.
Where they-
Assistance.
there's some knowledge.
Yeah.
They also do financial packaging. They help research grants, so that's nice. And they also, obviously, he just said the infrastructure and economic development projects. They also help us with our maps. Remember when you guys were working with them on the maps to make sure that that all got done? Zoning regulations, municipal ordinance revisions, we'll definitely be tapping into them for that. Ryan Fods is very aware of that. They secured over $330 million in grants and loans to fund infrastructure projects. I think a lot of that had to do with the Biden bucks, but, let's see here. When, Sophie is one of the staff members on there and right before I think I was running for mayor before I took office. I had called Sophie and I said, please use Baltic as a case study. Every program you can think of, please run it by us. Let us know. She was, super helpful. Obviously, our journey has been interesting. And so now we have some time to level things out and maybe work with Sophie a little bit more. I know Ryan has a really good relationship with her, and I know Lacey is going to have some conversations with her too. So the nice thing about that is that CCOG, they're a certified development company, so this is what they do. This is what they do. Let's see here. What is our fee now? $2,263.
This again falls into the no-brainer category.
It's absolutely a no-brainer. And arguably could overlap what SMGA does.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like we're not getting those services, we're just channeling it.
Would you say 22 would?
$2,263 annually.
Yeah, exactly.
I would make a motion to approve the contract with CCOG and authorize the mayor to sign.
Yep, I'll second.
All right, Travis is the first, Nikki the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't have an invoice till Julie just sent him a check.
It's this is just the letterhead. The invoice comes in like January.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Want that
Okay.
to go?
Yeah, we did take that back to Lacey. Thank you very much. Okay, on to municipal league. I think this year, more than most, we may have possibly maxed out our full capacity of membership with the municipal league. And
This is
so,
another, no.
yeah,
This is another no-brainer.
you just want to do it?
They can explain what the benefits are.
So it's with the municipal membership, all municipalities in the state of South Dakota and townships have a different membership or overarching umbrella organization. The municipal league comes together to help support municipalities in all facets of operation. And so not only is it a sense of community, they have listservs for the finance officers for Lacey to tap into. There's resources for our maintenance superintendents to be able to go and see what, best practices for other cities, things like that. They let us know of different programs. They have different workshops that we can all go to. They have training, they have election training. They're basically the go-to club for municipalities as an organization, if you will. The 2024 membership dues are only $1,408.73. There are some other affiliation dues that are involved with this. I don't think we need to worry about the South Dakota Airport Management Association. I don't think that really applies to us. Does Paul Clark do the Building Officials Association? Does he pass that through to us?
Sure.
Okay, so there is a possibility that we need to have the South Dakota Building Officials Association, but it looks like these are all like at the very most $50 per person for the year, so that's minimal, if that's it. Will you guys, when we make the motion, can we have them confirm which membership it is? The most it would be is 50, okay? Let's see here, oh, governmental member, that would be you, Ryan. That would be the building official. And then maybe we would need Paul Clark too, so it'd probably be $100 for the Building Officials Association, at most. And then we have, city management, that doesn't work for us because that's not our kind of government, right, John? Because we're aldermanic, we don't have a city manager.
Correct.
And then South Dakota Association of Code Enforcement, we're gonna talk about code enforcement in a little bit. So I imagine the who we have city code enforcement, if we have to pay for this, it's only $75 for the year. So again, these are really affordable. We have the Finance Officers Association. It's $40 for first member, $30 for each additional member. Do you do the HR one too then, Lacey? Okay, because we only have 5 employees. I would imagine if it's more than it would be necessary. And then we have Street Maintenance Association. Ryan, do you join that one?
I think that was the,
Okay, that's 35. And so just so you guys understand, when it's still gonna be under $300, so it'd be under, 1408, so it'd be under $1,800 all in for municipal league. And then I think we're all acutely aware of the insurance that we have with them to be able to have that expertise, like Sarah Frankenstein, to come in and help really need an expert level. Yeah, when you're getting sued, it's really nice to have that backup with an expert level municipal attorney. So we've certainly used that on multiple occasions in the last fiscal year. So 1,400 or 1,800 total all in for this. There we go. There's the background for all the citizens, so you know what's going on. Okay, Brian, you're up.
Did you leave?
No. Okay, so you just.
Brian, you had said this was a no-brainer, so I figured you,
Yeah.
the motion.
I would like to vote in favor of continuing the contract with the municipal league and the other fees associated with it.
Okay,
I'll second.
Brian is the first and Travis is the second. All of those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Excellent. Now we have the sheriff.
That's enough.
That, I don't even know what else I have to say.
It's either this or make our own police department.
You know, it didn't
Which
move
is
to-
that's right.
I mean, unless Mike Kubin wants to be our sheriff too, in addition to our fire chief. That's a hard no. That's a hard no. So I guess we should probably go along with Vinnie Howard.
Like 20, what is it, 25 grand a quarter or something?
76,349 a year.
You guys,
It's not,
it's good stuff. Tell me what you wanna do.
Make a motion to approve the county sheriff's. contract.
Travis loves the law.
Second.
Brian loves the law too. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right. Yes.
A couple
Yeah.
get out of jail free cards for being in that deal.
I don't know about that. Again, I got yellow ones in my Monopoly game. I can get it. Deb, did you have a question?
No, I had a comment.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, would have liked to have gotten it in before the vote, but it wasn't quick enough. Because it's no brainer in us meeting law enforcement. Problem is, I do not want this council to take the fact that I have not been at council meetings for the last couple months bitching about the speeding issue on Lovely Avenue to mean that it no longer exists.
It exists.
So take it as my loss of confidence in our law enforcement and our city council to get that problem addressed.
Well, it is never for lack of conversations that we have had. Definitely myself.
Nor do we drive the cars that go speeding past your house or the trucks that go speeding past your house, but it is a conversation that's always had. I know sheriffs in town that I've talked to about it. I can't talk to every single one of them. There's always different ones that are in town.
I've mentioned it to deputies as well.
But when we call and we have people from our city hall who call and are told, no, we're not sending anyone out, we don't have anyone to send, and we won't. That's where the loss of confidence consists.
I understand your frustration 100%.
Thank you for that.
But
Coming from the outside in, I've never seen such enforcement. You know, I moved here from the Twin Cities, grew up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and I've never seen such enforcement and such sticking to the limit as I have on Lovely Avenue, as anywhere I've ever been in the country. And I, in sales, traveled the country. I mean, I don't know when it's happening, and I don't doubt that it is, but I think it's gotta be minuscule times, because I'm in sale, I'm back and forth, and I'm addicted to Diet Mountain Dew, so I'm over to Classic Corner 3 times a day. And I'm running to the city up on I-20, so I just don't see it, but I'm sure it's happening, but I guess my perspective is I think the sheriff's doing a good job, because when I'm going through there, which is a lot, I'm not witnessing it. I have on the east side noticed that they kicked down a little fast coming down the hill, but they're starting to go down the, you know, when they're heading the east side of town, goes 45 and then immediately thereafter 55, which doesn't make sense because there's like 50 yards between the signs, but I don't see it. I just think they're doing a good job. I just wanted to
Deb
voice
has
it.
a unique point of view because she lives right in the spot where typically they escalate, and there's no question there's an issue with it. There's no question there's abuse of it. And I know that all of us have tried to do the things, you know, like contact the school when all the contractors were the ones that were speeding, all those types of things. What we really don't want to have happen is someone get hurt because of it. Ryan and I will be talking a little bit about, Justin and I are gonna talk a little bit about, some projects that we've been talking about, because I'm a huge proponent of slowing down the traffic by the design of the street, not by the sign that has a number.
What are we talking about here? Are people going 50 in the 25?
Oh, they're definitely going over 30. There's no question. It could be probably after
25, so.
I was walking my dog yesterday and there was a dump truck that went through town that was doing at least 30.
at least. if
And then
not more.
we got to the line sign and it just started to slow down.
It really,
Being generous by only saying 30.
Yeah, it is a problem.
I would say 30 isn't like an egregious problem. If it's 35, 40, then you got a problem.
There are people that do that too, though.
You
There-
see some trucks. coming
Yeah,
from places.
it definitely happens. And so we
There's-
work on some other things.
6:30 in the morning, you got commuters driving through town
Mhm.
that are doing at least 40, 45.
Yep.
That are going to a place outside of town.
But again, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, it is road design. When you build a road that's like a freeway, people are gonna treat it like a freeway. If you treat it like a street, they'll drive like a street. So we have a freeway in the middle of our town, so we have to design it differently to innately slow down the traffic. And that's kind of what I'm gonna hammer.
Nielsen and GNP lot.
Yes. So, Nielsen, where's that one at? See, I can take off my glasses and put them.
Which lot is this again? This is
Well, it's 2, right? 2 parcels.
I don't think, do I have a map of the Nielsen?
It's on the website.
On David.
Right here.
Oh, that's the Greenway, right?
Yeah, it appears to be the Greenway.
Right here.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so for those of you who want to understand what we're talking about, when we say the Nielsen lot, it's the Greenway that's between David and Kyle that goes down. Or wait a minute, it's not, it's a parcel?
It's this part right here is the Nielsen
You can
part.
see it's kind of,
Okay,
And this part on that side is the GMP spot.
okay. So then who has the other spot?
We do.
city.
This was all up. Everything up here was GMP. And they developed this and then they sold that area to Nielsen's. So that's why the break is here. This was sold to Nielsen's.
Got it.
This was deeded to the city.
Back in the day.
2010.
Bottom part.
Okay, okay, I misunderstood. I thought it was the whole Greenway. Thank you for clarifying that. So
Let's, yeah.
what we have is the north section of what we call the Greenway, if you will. And, so half of that is Nielsen, half of that is GNP. We have a letter that we don't know if we've missed the deadline on, and it might have gone to the county, but can they do that in the middle of town?
Well, that's, wait a minute.
What are they trying to do?
Aren't there two parcels, 6-5?
Yeah, there's two parcels.
Okay. And are you saying this one was taken by the county by tax deed?
That's what it looks like by the letter.
Well, the notice of intention to take tax deed is on parcel 65072.
That's the other one.
And the county owns that now
Okay,
because they took a.
are they gonna mow it?
Well, they own it. You could call them and complain.
Where is this?
Up in the Heights, when you go Fifth Street.
North of Lovely.
North of Lovely. So if you're going north of Lovely, and then, if you look just to the right, there's a section of houses and a section of houses, and then there's a whole strip of grass in between. That's basically a detention pond for the Heights. And so this is,
It's
That
not
person.
wide.
If we're talking about 65072, which is the other side,
Mhm.
I can't imagine the county would want to keep owning that. They might just want to deed it to the city if you want it.
Do we want to give John permission to send a letter to the county to ask them if they'd be willing to give it to us, and then we'll continue to mow it, otherwise they can?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
Okay, there's a little background on this, the county obtained it from GNP due to tax reasons?
They didn't pay the taxes, correct?
Okay,
I think they probably thought it was deeded to the city.
Back in 2010.
Green space.
And then just never worried about it.
yeah, so Nielsen's want to do the same thing, they just want to deed this over to the city, so they're, just get out of there,
Yep,
yeah. Give John
So
the
I need-
approval to.
okay, go ahead, Travis.
Get that done.
So Travis is moving the first, that it's okay for John to go ahead and try to get that land for the city?
Before I
second,
said Brian, no, never mind, Brian already did.
Travis is gonna do the first, Brian's gonna do the second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? John, you get another item on your to-do list. Perfect. So snow removal discussion also overlaps with the part-time worker discussion. So I'd like to move the snow removal discussion, and this is my fault because I did the order of this agenda. I should have put the snow removal discussion out underneath part-time worker discussion. So can I have somebody move C down to below H, please? I'm just gonna do it, okay? I'm gonna do it. And so then let's move to ice rink. This is Ryan Fott's favorite topic. And so, what we learned is we've offered an amenity of an ice rink. Okay? And so the tricky thing is figuring out when we should put it up because, freezing temperatures and all that kind of stuff is.
Outdoor.
a tricky thing. Outdoor, yes. And so, Ryan, what's that?
Do you have a spot?
And the Baltic Heights Park is typically where we have it. Yep, and we do have, so this is that discussion where we start figuring out how we're gonna do this, okay? Because in the past, the bargain basement has been kind enough to be the point of contact to get ice skates and to get the walkers for the little kids so they don't fall when they're, ice skating. Or me, because I would fall if I was ice skating. And so, so in order to open this ice rink, A, we have to have a conversation with bargain basement. B, we need to make sure that we confirm the location of it and then the timing of it. is really kind of what that conversation's all about. So, we haven't talked to bargain basement yet, because without those three things, we're kind of dead in the water. So, I would like to give Lacey permission to talk to bargain basement to see if they'd be willing to be our point of contact for that, because it's usually on the weekends when people want to ice skate. And then Fod said that he would start working on the ice rink as soon as we had the high temperature was below freezing on the normal.
Is there lights?
There's a one main light. Well, we had it,
It's not gonna be close to that, that's that.
where are you, so where are you
So
looking
they-
at?
so-
It's gonna be on the west diamond of the Acre line.
On the diamond itself. We have not put it there before.
No, before, because I think you had a.
We've always kind of shuffled it around, and now we're trying to find the perfect
Is there
spot for it.
ambient light from the other, from away? So, I mean, what I'm asking is, if for it to be usable during weekdays, you have to have enough light to be able to
There is
see.
a light in the parking lot, so if you look to that field, the west diamond, there is one on that big parking lot there. There's a street light there that's always usually lit. So it'll be in that field that is right next to that light, so that sidewalk would be lit properly to that entrance. But it wouldn't be a ton of light there. And we could always probably reposition and put another light there.
Aim it a little bit better.
So this is a pleasure rink. There's no boards.
It's just a,
Pleasure rink.
but like, just like a bit, barricade sides with the.
Called Easy Ice.
What are they barricaded with?
It's a poly bordered, like a 14-inch sidewall. You can make a circle, a rectangle, whatever, I mean,
Not Grand Forks style.
No,
Yeah, this is pleasure rink.
Is this,
In Grand Forks, it's always one with boards and then a pleasure rink for the girls.
Is this gonna be-
Now it's all, girls are playing hockey. They don't want to use this pleasure rink anymore.
is this gonna be detrimental to the Agron? People coming and going, walking through it and all that. I know
It
this
should
is
be.
there, but
No,
Agroline's pretty expensive stuff,
no, that shouldn't be.
but okay.
That should be for, once you when you're on that, that should freeze as hard.
Who maintains it in the city?
No, I thought we were gonna have a video, I thought it was like no maintenance.
Justin's gonna show
Flooding
up
risk is not fun.
on the regular, yeah,
No,
or
but-
Parker is.
yeah, in general, actually.
It's been community maintained. It isn't necessarily the same person, and we don't have like a Zamboni or anything like that, so. It's just kind of community. We put it out there and people just kind of use it.
Do we have a, sign? Did we ever make one of those?
We
Did we
did,
talk about?
we did have a sign. I think you sent us a picture of that sign. I don't know if the sign's been made.
Did we have it before?
There was a picture of it. I know there was a picture.
Yeah, I don't think I don't remember. There was-
Like basically at your own risk kind of a thing. Do you want to see if you can take that out or find it? No, it's a photo. It's a photo. I know. And I think you sent it to me.
I know, all I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it in my head too. I'll look too. Travis and I'll see if we can drum up that sign and we'll see if we can get that made.
That sign was year one. I don't remember seeing it year two.
But you know, I remember seeing it. We might,
Yeah, it was.
you know what?
right on the
It's
fence.
on the City of Baltic Facebook page, but you have to scroll back.
Oh,
It's-
it's posted a picture of the sign.
They posted a picture of the sign. It is definitely on the City of Baltic Facebook page, without question. I don't know who wants to scroll for 20 minutes to find it, but it's there. So that's how I found it. We'll have to scroll. Cindy, you want a scroll project? Okay, so that's the update on the ice rink.
Should volunteer, tell you.
I know, right? Okay, let's talk about code enforcement. All right, so if you guys remember back in July of last year, or 2022, July of 2022, yeah, so that'll be last year, right? There was a company called Code Enforcement Specialists. The name is Joel Johnson. I talked to him today again, and I said, hey, would you be willing to take us if we are ready for this? He said that he has to talk to his guy in this area because he's pretty full. He doesn't know if he has the bandwidth to do it. I said, well, is there going to be a price increase on the agreement? He goes, nope, price is the same. So I thought that was kind of exciting. But if you recall, we've talked about this before. Basically, Code Enforcement Specialist is a company that's what they do. They enforce code. So they have about 60 different cities that they serve, and they have specialists that go around and they have different cities that they do this for. And so what they do is they come and they say, okay, this is typically the standard codes that we have in a community, you need to compare it against your codes and make sure that we're, on the right page, or if we have to change anything or know that there's stuff specific to Baltic, or we can opt to just adopt their code. However, and then they are our enforcers. I love this for multiple reasons. One, it's not our employees doing this because code enforcement sometimes gets a little tricky and a little dicey. And so I would prefer that Ryan Fodd's, his focus is to serve the community, not to serve the community, And so, I would prefer the city employees were not in that position because it's usually very combative. And so I like the idea of having somebody come in from out of town, like Paul Clark is a good example. He's building inspector. He's from out of town. He comes in, he does the higher level things and he takes care of it. It would be taking code enforcement to that level and having somebody do it. Now, with that being said, I do think it's going to take a little bit of work on our end to make sure that the codes make sense. They're not outdated and they're reasonable because we have some ordinances and code out there that it's outdated and maybe not reasonable.
When you're done.
So that was really it. We need to make sure that what it is we're enforcing makes sense for our community. If that's the case, I think this is the perfect model.
This is the reason I came out. Just a little background. I was on the board of the largest association in the state of Minnesota. There was over 1,500 homes, 6,000 residents. And we got a board, when I was elected in, there were several new members who were overzealous with code enforcement and talk about mutiny. I mean, oh my God, garbage containers were left outside overnight at night, and all of a sudden they were on top of it with letters threatening fines and you just tear apart a city. And I know there's some codes, that I'm glad you addressed it. I hope outdated codes or, common sense prevails.
Yes.
Because if this group comes in and I read it, they're gonna come out and take pictures and start files. I mean, somebody may have a trailer in their driveway for 2 days and there's a code, right? You can't leave it for a long time. And there's a picture in a file. And now that person's not a government accountable. You have somebody outside the government, an outside agency. And far be it from me usually that, I'm all about privatizing stuff, but on code enforcement, I think you guys need to talk long and hard about it. I don't know which way this should go, but I know it needs a lot of discussion. And it needs to be entered into with trepidation from my perspective.
100%. Code enforcement is something that has been a subject of discussion in many driveways, over many cups of coffee at La Casa Corner, and multitude of phone calls that arrive at City Hall. So everybody wants to be a code enforcer. Nobody wants to be enforced. And so I do think, like I said, in the intro, that we need to take a look at our codes and make sure they make sense, right? We don't want crazy stuff happening. But I do think once we agree unilaterally what should happen in our community, that it is enforced unilaterally. There's a lot of history there where people felt like they were being targeted because someone didn't like somebody, so then they got a letter, but then the next person didn't get the letter. And so if you're gonna do it, it's gotta be unilaterally. It can't be like cherry picking who's gonna get enforced and who's not gonna get
And that's
enforced.
what happened is people were complaining about a neighbor, they were disgruntled over something unrelated. And they just kept, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and they kept on until the city would find somebody, and then 5 blocks over, somebody's worse off. And they're not getting that letter, so it's a sticky wicket that you're,
And
once you're starting.
that's where common sense comes in. That's where us deciding what is the benchmark.
As a citizen, my question to this board is code enforcement right now being flaunted by the city residents to the point where we need to bring in outside, or what is the onus? Is it just that the city employees don't like handling it or not capable of handling it, or it's distracting from more important matters? What is?
Distracting from more important.
A lot of power, I would say would probably be part of it too, but your concerns echo my concerns. I mean, literally, when I read this of what they're capable of doing, I think of the police coming through and just like you said, making a file, well, I got a camper park next to my house. Oh, the front's in front of it. We can't do that. Boom, there's a picture of the file. That is not at all what I want, whatsoever. First off, what is the expense for this?
$1,500 annually, and then $75 per hour after that $1,500 plus 60 cents a mile.
And we decide how often they come.
All their records, picture, materials are owned by the city. Which is a.
And at the end of the day,
Please.
it's not like we're turning this over. The council can decide. It's an aldermanic system. It's run by the council.
What's their track record like? Do we have other city mayors you network with that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. When I was looking into this last July, the reviews were very good.
And we have a 60-day window to cancel.
Well, and we also, the
Yeah.
onboarding is for us to all be in agreement what it is they're enforcing. To me, that's the holy grail. I mean, we can say, you know, these are the rules we want you to enforce. These are the rules.
Like, for example, I have a temporary fence in my yard. I think I talked to you on the phone. I've got cliffs on the side of my house. I knew it when I bought it, so it's my problem, but I gotta fix that before I put in a permanent fence. But he was like, yeah, nobody's complaining. You got a temporary fence for your dog for now. You know, these guys would come through, take a picture, and I'd get a letter. I'd go on a file.
No,
And it's just purely a temporary fence.
but Jason, all you would have to do is ask for a variance and then it would be a non-starter.
But then I have to ask for a variance on
But it's not a big deal. That's just coming here saying, can you give me a variance? And we're like, yeah, you get a variance. So I mean, it's really.
It's affordable.
Yeah,
It's,
it wouldn't need a variance.
it's one that you put up,
Ground
I mean,
gates
it's
on
an
there.
1/8 inch, not even an 1/8 inch stake that you put in the ground and hold it up. So I mean, it's,
Problem is they're, yeah, it's pretty flimsy, but yeah, I know, yeah.
I've seen your dog, my dog is about this big, doesn't have mine, so it's a big difference, but.
Harris, a little bigger.
Well, I think everybody here is in agreement that we don't want that nightmarish HOA.
No, nobody wants that.
Driving around, nobody wants that.
But there
But
is.
the regular codes
Is a need.
need to be enforced.
The nuisance.
The news, yes.
The nuisance.
Well, yeah, the nuisance and the property value codes, you know, so somebody doesn't paint their house, you know, purple and gold and garish, you know, I don't know what color, but, you know, I'm sure there's codes like that, right? Because the people next to them, they can't sell their house and their value was, that's why, I get that. But somebody's common sense, one person's common sense is another, you know, so it's a slippery, it's a tough deal.
I really do believe that the focus of this, or at least it's my intent to bring it to the council to decide on this, it's more of a nuisance management.
And for this all, we mainly go out right now, a lot of citizen calls. And so a lot of people think that we're not doing anything with it, but Lacey will send out a letter. We give them a time frame with that. They have so many up to, I think, 2 weeks up to a month to maintain it. We drive around and here's my thing, this is with my water and wastewater stuff. I'll drive around, but I'm looking at the streets. I'm looking for water coming out of the ground. I mean, we had a water leak last winter and I went up to plow snow and I'm like, we've got an issue. There's 10 residents there that never even called. So they had never even assumed anything wrong. So when we're out, we're not patrolling to be like, you know, government looking at everybody's properties or their backyards. We're just looking at our infrastructure, what we have to maintain. A lot of times someone will say, well, did you see it? I do not look at people's properties because
Yeah.
I'm more concerned with what I.
And that's where we want you spending your time.
And that's the hard part is for people, it is great if they call in.
Mhm.
Because that's what we go. I mean,
Yes,
But the
Brian?
flip side of that is,
I'm
you know, I
all
can
in
have a
favor.
neighbor who has weeds that's 6 foot high. How, you know, how many times do I want to call and complain about that? I have you, when you're out and about, see it, or a code enforcer who's out and about see it, and then I don't have to be the bad neighbor.
and
That's,
they never know who it is. We just send a letter to that residence.
Oh, they know I'm spraying weeds on their side fence, but that's. Frank,
I would just like to say that I'm.
and I need to say this for the record, that's not my current neighbor, thank God.
yes,
but
Brian?
I just want to say I'm in favor of having an outside company do this, as long as we have things in place, like we're going to continue to give a warning letter out first to get things resolved before we just jump into fines. And that
Of
if
course.
there is, or if you remember, we had a citizen last winter come in that couldn't get snow removed through the alleyway. And I want that option to make sure as long as we have that type of option available. So things arise, let's say snow removal, you have 24 hours to move the sidewalks. Well, let's say there's a health emergency at that home, they couldn't do that. As long as that citizen can come back into the city, and regardless of what that service is done, they can talk to the city or the council and have that resolved.
In an elevator.
I don't know.
We're leaving with-
You're not allowed to go to the bar, Brian. Sounds like he's playing home.
I know, what are you doing?
Crazy.
What are you doing? It sounds like you're playing the operation game or you're in an elevator. We're trying to figure it out.
I was in an elevator.
There you go. There you go.
Has the mayor and the city council here looked at, and then maybe I'm exposing ignorance here, a shorter contract or a 30-day out as opposed to a 60-day out?
Is there
If this goes awry?
There's a 60-day out
You could negotiate a 30-day out.
because there's
I think it's getting missed of the pre-work that we can do before they start. We literally have complete control of this process, complete control. And so it's not like we're turning this over to people that we have no say in.
right.
It is literally our process, and this is headcount to help us do something we can't do because we're doing other
And
things.
winter months are slow months anyway.
Yeah, this is true. So that's what kind of why I timed it the way I did, because it gives us time to really take a look at everything, make sure it's okay. And make sure that it's publicized to citizens saying, hey, we're looking at this. And so as long as we're all on board, that these are the things we're looking at.
Isn't part of their first process to come in and look at what we
Yes.
have?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, they look at all the ordinances.
it's actually a pretty, I mean, it's for 60 cities, you guys. If,
Is that
if,
what you're saying?
Well, it says that a contractor will inspect the city's properties to identify code violations that relate to property maintenance issues, property value enhancement, residential and commercial construction issues, and ensuring residents of the city adhere to the most recent edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, other requirements as codified in the city's nuisance ordinances and other ordinances related to property maintenance. They're gonna look at building exteriors, and prevent and help remedy violations of the city's nuisance ordinances or parts of the most recent edition of the International Property Maintenance Code.
the thing I love about this is it's what they do. It's what they do. This is their business. And I love that because when we've had building inspectors in the past, once they retire, what do? They're gone. We have all our eggs in one basket. And this is a business model. Yeah.
The last thing I want to say as a citizen, and I hate to take over the meeting, but when somebody's providing a service
Mhm.
and they have to provide a value to the city
Mhm.
for their dollars, they find things. In other words, there might not be any major things, but they're gonna find something.
Our goal is for them not to find anything because they did their job well.
Well, I don't think their fee is it,
It's not based on.
not based on-
Oh, no, I know, but if they come up and they're not, I mean, and there's no major violations, they're gonna, more than likely, in my opinion, and maybe I'm totally wrong, I didn't talk to them.
I'm actually
Maybe
glad
they
you brought
start
this up.
nitpicking,
No,
but
I'm
you say-
I'm glad you brought this up because when I was talking to the other cities, they're like, it's great. They come in once a month. They just make sure that, things are taken care of and we love it. We love it because people know they're coming. Everything gets clean. We don't have to worry about it. It's really low maintenance. And then the people that are the stragglers get roped back in because everybody else is following the rules and it makes the city look really nice. So that was the reviews that I got.
Sounds good to me.
No, I appreciate your concerns because this.
No, I'm glad you shared this. I'm glad we come into it. Because that was one of the main reasons I'm here,
Mhm.
because of my experience, how this went ugly. In,
Well, and you
in
remember a
Wayne,
couple years
Minnesota,
back,
in
you guys
my
were
association.
doing this.
Because no
Remember
matter
you-
how they
it's not, we've talked about this a couple times before too, I don't know
Mhm.
why we did not do it last time, but if we're going to approve this, what I would.
Well, Ben
recommend-
volunteered to be the code enforcer the last time.
Ben voluntold was voluntold.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And
But
I'd
what
like
Oops, sorry,
to,
Travis, I'm sorry.
I'd like to review it before the 60 days, just to see how things are going. Even if he would come through and just talk about what he sees, so we can all kind of get an idea of exactly maybe what they do, what they're finding, how the process is going, and see if there's.
I think
something we
that's
want to
great.
continue with. Because obviously, it's kind of like you said, I'm touching both subjects, it's,
Mhm.
everybody's got a different picture in their mind of how they think this could go. If one extreme of HOA versus the other of it's exactly the same thing as what we have now, so.
Well, great
We
point.
gotta find the happy middle though.
Yeah, I mean, it's, code is there for a reason.
Nobody wants
I
to
think
make
it-
6 foot weeds. I mean, it's just, yeah, critters and the whole, yeah.
But the enforcement can already be done too if the neighbors are, don't like the 6 foot weeds or don't like the, you know, the car parked in the driveway with the tarp over top of it, or, you know, whatever else. They have the ability to complain about it and enforce the code that currently exists too. So that also tells me that while nobody's complaining about it, nobody, you know, they don't mind it. It's obviously not bothering them either, so.
So
It's,
remember the overarching reason to have code enforcement is for the beautification of the city.
Right.
It's so when we can all enjoy it, it all looks nice, we have a sense of community pride because everything meets a certain standard. And that it also residential recruitment and it also helps with commercial development. And so this is all part of how a community runs. Yes, Deb?
I just wanted to say, when you were talking about ordinances that need to be changed and wanting to make sure that they're appropriate, reasonable, and not confusing. I know you love citizen committees and citizen input. Are you gonna open that up and maybe have some meetings and get some
I think that'd be great.
input on that?
I think it'd be great.
As we're moving-
And I know about 6 people I plan to call because they seem to have a really good handle on what the codes are.
And the other thing is, to Jason's point about, you know, bringing a new kid on the block who's going to be the code enforcer, and they're gonna try and justify the $1,500 that you're spending. I think that justification might come real early when we see a decrease in the calls that Lacey's getting.
Mhm.
That to me is going to be the real yardstick when you're not getting calls all the time, or, somebody's calling and saying, thank God you finally took care of this. And-
So see,
Well, I think,
to your point, yeah, go ahead.
in the first year, we will exceed the 1,500.
Oh, sure.
That's a guarantee.
Expect to, because you're cleaning up past.
Right. So that's gonna be expected, but after that, you know, they have to document everything and anything that they do for the city. So,
And so we
Their
can find out
invoice.
in our software if that's something that we can capture, you know, by our assets. So that way that information is there. That's something worth looking into.
That would be a great thing to put in your negotiations in their contract.
With
If
that,
it's not already there, that they have accountability for and account for their hours. Because remember, we've talked about other contracts that are out there where we do not have that.
actually, they're billable by hours and then we determine how many times they come to the city. And so it's actually really well documented. Like I said, this is a business model. It's not something that somebody just made up. They do this for like 60 times.
It's a decently drafted contract.
Mhm. So I would like permission to move forward with this as long as, because we may have done this whole discussion and he may call me tomorrow and say, sorry, the guy can't do it. So I just need permission to be able to at least move forward with this process. And permission to sign the agreement once he has the updated agreement for me, because the last one is dated for 2022. And then if we don't like the process, I mean, if there's something we want to change along the way, we can do that because it's our city, right?
I think since we have a concern that he might not have room for us, we might want to be very cautious about negotiating ourselves right off their calendar. By saying, oh, we want to cancel in 30 days. We want, you know, them to retool their entire contract.
I think 60 days notice is more than reasonable in light of the fact that this is their business model. That is my 2 cents. But you guys get to
I
know.
don't see anything wrong with this contract. I think we should give them a try for a year.
it's not like it's 15 grand either. I mean,
Right.
one thing to remember,
Literally.
even if we get 6 months down the line, it's like, oh man, I don't know about this.
Right.
I mean, obviously, nobody likes to just waste money, but not
I'd
like
like-
it's fortunate.
I like
And
that.
it's,
They have.
and it's gonna be
60
slow the next couple of months.
Mhm. Yeah, Brian?
If they have 60 cities using them currently, there's obviously a model here that works.
Yes. That is, I concur. I concur. Okay, any more discussion? This is good discussion.
I make the motion to approve the code enforcement, contract and give Deborah the authority to sign. Is that what you need?
That's the first.
I would
I'll
second
second.
that. Go ahead, Nikki.
Nikki got you first.
That's okay, give it to Brendan.
No, you go
It's too
ahead.
late, I already wrote your name down. Okay, all those in
Sorry,
favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay. 2024 committee discussion. The intent of this is to reach out,
we're gonna do snow removal or,
snow removal goes down under H. And so,
oh,
2024 committee discussion is, the concept of how we can widen the net to get citizens more involved. You know, we already have the construct for our Parks and Rec department. It's a pretty heavy lift when you look at the ordinance of the department. That's a lot to ask of people. Maybe we can parcel that out a little bit and make it a little more bite-sized. The P and Z is obviously a heavy lift. We can't do anything with that. It's gotta be that. You know, that's regulated. But I would also love to see some other things in there. We've mentioned, you know, community events as an option. We haven't really seen that pick up yet, but I think there's opportunity for it. But there's also some really great ideas from other cities of different things they do. Like one comes to mind is beautification. Like what can we do to make the city more pretty, that kind of stuff. Maybe one is sidewalks. That seems to be a point of discussion for a lot of different things. And so what I'd like to do is go out and look at other cities and see what other committees they have to see what resonates with us and then try to figure out a plan to get people more involved. We learned definitely with dog days that if you break it down, you make it clear, and the ask is small and specific, we have no problem recruiting people to help. None at all. But it has to be broke down, small and specific. So if we can do that with what we want to do with our city, I don't think there's any limit to what we can do. So that's what this is about. So if you have any ideas, bring them to me. We'll put it together and we'll talk about this subsequently, but I'd like to get that kicked off very early in 2024. So that's what that's about. Okay. Fines and fees resolution, transition from ordinances. So, in our local ordinances, since we're doing the big scrub of ordinances, there are fees attached to ordinances. There are issues with that from a city management standpoint because it takes a lot to change an ordinance. There's processes, and usually there's that first reading, there's a second reading, there's the 21 days of publication, and then it goes into effect. So because our ordinances are written that way, we would really like to consider, or I would like to recommend to the council to approve for us to restructure that, pull out the fees from the ordinances and do a fines and fee resolution that allows our city to be more agile and realistic with things that maybe are outdated with our ordinances. And it keeps ordinances as laws that should be long-standing and constant, and fines and fees to be agile and make sense for what it is that we're dealing with. That is what I'm asking for in here. It's going to take a lot of work for John and I and anybody else who likes to read ordinances, because we could certainly use the help. And because we're gonna have to reconstruct some of this stuff, but we all know we have a lot to work on these ordinances, right? There's a lot of work. We haven't done a lot of work on that. It needs to happen. So if we can just start with the ones that have fees, get those updated, and then start working our way through, we figured that's the first place we want to start. That's my recommendation. I just need permission.
Yeah, I think going away from ordinances to a resolution gives you the flexibility and speed to change and adjust as needed in a quicker fashion. We talked about this, I think, a couple times.
Yep.
On different occasions of how much of a pain it is to change a fee and keep up with the times because it's an ordinance and you gotta rewrite the ordinance, et cetera, et cetera. So, and a resolution is basically the same as an ordinance, so you understand that correctly.
It is.
It takes one vote instead of two.
And it's done immediately.
Right. Yeah.
So is that a motion? Or is
Yeah,
that a
I think
comment?
if you, yeah, I'll make a motion to agree to start the process of converting the fines and fees to a resolution.
Any other questions, or do you have a second?
second,
Ryan's gonna second. I got a first, I got a second. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Is there a council person that would like to help with this process, not do it all, but at least have a council member present, or at least be a point person for this? Because I think it's not necessarily appropriate that the mayor is the point person on this. I'm wondering if a council person should be a point person. I'm just asking. I'm gonna be there to help, because you know I love me some ordinances.
Brian, I think you should be told. I'll
volunteer for it.
Well, Cindy beat you to it, so should we make him the point person?
Sounds better to me.
We have other devious things for you to do,
Okay.
okay? Thank you, Mr. Cindy.
Oh my.
You're gonna learn so much. It's gonna be so much fun.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, I quit.
You're regretting this already, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
We're gonna get you some help, okay? Okay. Part-time worker discussion. Mr. McGreevy, I'm gonna try to summarize this on your behalf because you're a little, Charlie Brown teacher on the speaker,
Fine.
you know, with you being all up and down the elevators and such. And so, Alderman McGreevy made a really great point that with snow coming, we probably, since we don't know how much snow we're getting. And because Lacey and Ben and Ryan are 3 people in City Hall, that we probably need to have some permission to have some part-time help, just in case we need. Because right now, Ryan and Ben are backup for Lacey, and Lacey is entitled to PTO. Lacey will never be sick again a day in her life. But should it happen, we need a backup. We do have a couple of backups now. I mean, Lacey Harrington is backup. We're gonna talk to Kathy Faith potentially. Linda Hunnell's still a backup. So we do have a, you know, a pot to choose from. What we would like is the permission to be able to offer compensation. I mean, that Linda's already got her compensation set. Lacey Harrington has her compensation set, but if we have somebody like Kathy Faith or another, you know, adult that would be pleasant answering the phone to understand the basic operations, you know, it'd be kind of nice, because sometimes unexpected things happen and we just need some help.
Well, it's kind of a no-brainer, but do we have the money?
We have enough money to do that.
Yeah.
Because
Can
Oh, you have to have the help.
right, we have significant cost savings, with our headcount right now, so we do have some help there. So that's one thing, in office help. Second of all, if we get snow, I want to have permission to give FODS the ability to contract out with either a local person or to hire somebody that can help with the snow removal and give him the latitude to be able to do that, but just give him a budget dollar to work with. So that way, if he gets close to it, then he can come back and say, this is where I'm at, this is how I did it, and this is where I'm gonna need more. FODS, are you okay with that? Because he doesn't know that we were gonna talk about this. And McGreevy, did I cover that okay?
Well, the other thing is.
Hold on,
getting-
Deb.
getting
Brian,
into-
I'm sorry, start over, would you please?
So in addition to that, coming forward into next summer, you know, we're gonna need somebody part-time for Ryan, for mowing. And I guess both when it comes, we've already had a discussion about putting a blade on that extra pickup. Right? So there comes a point where maybe we're gonna have to utilize that. We need somebody that can run that, and maybe on a part-time basis. Then in the reverse of it, in the summertime, we need someone that can operate mowers. So there's also the summer need for that.
So we all agree there's a need. What I don't want to do is pigeonhole FODS in what he can and can't do, or us getting all caught up in how he's gonna do it, because he's got 500,000 years of experience and he's very good at it. And I think we just give him his guardrails and let him do what he wants. That's my opinion.
So what do you propose for a budget for an employee? If you're going in without an actual employee set on, are you just giving a blank hourly slate? I want to hire this guy. We just give you the free rein to hire somebody at X rate based on what he thinks is appropriate.
My suggestion, where my mind's at, and if you guys want to do something different, that's fine. I think we come up with an hourly rate to be able to compensate people in-house to cover the phone for Lacey. So that way we have that number agreed upon. It's not something we have to negotiate every single time. We
So
just,
if you're coming in as relief in the office, here's your.
that's the number we've agreed on to do. And knowing full well, of course, we're gonna call Linda first, we're gonna call Lacey first, we're gonna extinguish that. And if those two options don't work, or if one of us can't do it, and if you guys are tied up doing other things, then what are we gonna spend? What are we gonna spend to do that? I would like to suggest $15 an hour for somebody to come and answer the phones. Because obviously we don't expect them to
Would
be
we
fully
be able to
trained.
get anybody for that?
You know what, there's a lot of people that are happy to do it for free. I think that is a very kind thing to say, well, can we at least compensate you for 15?
It's been a good problem in the past. We've had fairly decent pot of people that have been able to
That's
still.
very important situation and take advantage of it.
Yeah, so it's more of a thank you for your time. And some of them probably would refuse it, but we're gonna be like, no, we're gonna make it take.
I have
So,
Deb,
yes, Brian.
$1. Does anyone remember, or maybe Ryan FODS, you do, what did we pay for our part-time staff this summer hourly rate?
They didn't do a part-time staff for summerly hourly, did you?
Yep. Yeah, we did with the,
Oh, for mowing?
yes,
Why are you thinking about summer when we're talking about snow?
I think we actually did
thinking positive.
a lump sum,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed,
Yeah.
I don't wanna say it was like 60 something per months X through Y.
Yeah, we did a lump sum for the summer. That's where that came from.
I think we should do something similar based off the same hourly dollar.
Your summer, basically the same thing as your summer part-time guy, but a winter version.
Yes.
Signing budget.
What I want to say was, it's gotta be cheaper. Paying someone regular rate, whether it's 15, 17, or whatever, than paying overtime to Ryan and having him living on a cot here. Like he did last.
There is
I'm
that.
salary, so I don't get over.
Yeah, you don't get.
I know, but we don't want you to have to do that. And then there is the other side, guys, of either hiring somebody to help use city equipment versus contracting with people that, either do this for a living or are local and available to give a helping hand should he need it. So that's where I would like that dollar to be however he sees fit. If he wants to hire somebody to just go do it for us, or if he wants someone to come and use our equipment. I want him to have the freedom and flexibility to
If
do
you're
that.
using our equipment, doesn't it fall under insurance? Do we have to full blown?
Well,
It
obviously,
would have to be a part-time.
Yeah.
employee.
Well, they would be unemployed.
I want you to decide that. I don't want us to decide that
Seems
for
like
you.
a rate, you can go anywhere from $20 to $30 an hour, and that might not get someone. Usually it should, using our equipment. The hard part, and I kind of heard this was coming up. The hard part is no matter what, if it's a snowstorm or anything, I'm not going to leave town because I don't know if I can get back.
Right.
So if I'm here, I'm probably just gonna work. If I have someone, if Ben would wanna go home, that's great, but one of us would have to be here because if there is an issue with any of our equipment, I'm gonna be the person that has to fix it, so I'm stuck here. So thanks for this. I'm gonna be here. The easiest would be is if we have snows like we did last year, to have the availability that maybe someone come in and for a pickup plow, is it like $65, $75 an hour? To have them assist,
Mhm.
especially if Grant Park Village Crossing's coming online. Like I said, it'd probably be 2 hours. That's when they add 2 more hours. And right now, on a normal snow, it takes us 10 to 12 hours. So we're already over, probably a minimum of 12 hours to clean the entire town. So it's hard with 2 pieces of equipment. You add a third, it's going to speed it up a little bit. It's just, we'll still have to go clean up with our equipment, but it would open up a lot more avenues for people faster.
Which is the option of him getting somebody to use their own equipment, because it gets us another piece of equipment to get the town.
Or we buy another plow for our pickup.
You just want to spend money.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, We
I
had
don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
discussion on for the extra pickup already.
Yeah, don't we have a pickup that could,
We could buy a plow for
okay,
it. We don't have a plow for it, so I'm pretty sure, I'm thinking they'd be the same mounts. You could probably get one with the same.
It's an 04.
It's an 04 with a Boss hookup, so I don't know if Boss plow is the same, where we can buy another Boss plow.
It's still got the hookups for the
Yeah,
old
it's-
plow.
Yep. So so I don't know if it would,
Has it got the quick attach
I
bottom? I don't think they've changed that in a long.
don't think so. I think it would, we just have to buy another Boss plow, so.
so are you guys cool with giving him a bucket of money to have him figure out how he wants to take care of this? Because I just don't want him sitting there thinking he can't do anything because we haven't given him permission.
Or maybe wait, have a special phone call or a special.
This is exactly why I want you guys to make a decision, because we never know what snow is
It'll
coming.
get done.
I know it's gonna get done no matter what, but you can obviously keep a surprise, like in the last snowstorm, this is what I had to spend. This is where I'm at against the bucket of money, and then we just, go from there.
There's something that hasn't been considered. If he's like down with COVID or something and you don't have
So everybody doesn't
somebody,
get sick.
and you have someone and he's out for the count for whatever reason, and you don't have part-time help that can help, do you have nobody right now?
Oh, I have another person.
Oh,
Did you guys hear that part about a bucket of money?
So I've done it.
You got COVID, you can just isolate this place.
Everybody chill.
It just, you know,
Yeah, sound the lights go.
we did discuss putting a Murphy bed in this room for him specifically for winter.
But this is better than a hard concrete floor. My God, I mean, I got the TV, I can get a sheet cable.
I know. Stream.
4 hours and I stopped, I sleep, so then I start again, so it really doesn't do a whole lot of.
I know.
Keep me awake, maybe.
I know. We may have to get a Murphy bed for him, so he's a little more comfortable in that damn we have.
Let's get them in their matches, good enough.
That's ridiculous. He's old.
So we put a motion forward, you know, giving.
I'm
Ryan-
sorry, Brian, I can't hear you. What?
So could we just maybe move to like a motion to, you know, give Ryan the flexibility to hire part-time staff within a reasonable cost? Or.
Evaluate on a monthly basis.
Yeah, or, you know, I guess if you want to include where he could, look at having somebody else come in to help with the private contractors, maybe we'd have to word it a little different. You know, availability to hire staff or hire on contracting at a reasonable cost.
I would rather have a number set. Currently, if we're gonna have a part-time guy come into the pickup, I'd rather have, okay, if you're, just like the front desk, okay, if you're coming into the pickup to help us out, it's X amount. You're
Sure.
gonna dump a pickup, it's gonna be Y amount. You know, I'd rather have that number set.
Well, and just, you know, I'm kind of thinking about like Joey Roberg, who does the walking pass. And he's done it for free for years. So it would be nice to stipend if he's gonna continue to do that, or if we would ask him to do that, and it was actually something.
Well, I'm looking at, but if it's a snow pickup to come in and plow the other streets, it'd be $5. So it'd be maybe $500 for them, because at that point, it's taking the stress, it's like opening the streets.
Yep.
We can't go off of what last year was. That
Yeah.
one's going to be one that, for the record books, hopefully
Exactly.
we don't get 2 feet of snow. But something like that, if it's a 10-inch snow, which will take probably 14 to 16 hours. To have someone else come in, it'd probably shave, you know, 5 hours off that. But that, I mean, that would be it. They come in, they hit, we give them a route, they hit it, they're gone. I
But,
mean.
and remember, some streets don't get snowed on as much as others.
Mhm.
So,
But then I can't see, the hard part is that to go with an hourly part-time employee, it would have to be right now using equipment that we have, the one pickup. or
It's already being
in order.
used.
So we're already here, so we'd have to spend $10,000 on another plow. Just to utilize that, where that's the hard part, $10,000 can go a long ways to have a subcontractor come in and plow some streets.
I really want him to make this decision. I don't want it to be us. He's the one doing it. He can look at the snow. He can figure out what makes the most sense, what's the best use of our resources.
Can we do it for 5, not 10?
Just give them a
And
budget,
then revisit the 5 as needed after that.
give them an amount.
And then I can just reach out to the different contractors.
Yep.
To see if they're available.
I would like to propose that we give him a $10,000 bucket and he just keep us apprised of how he's using it.
It's 5 for quite a few.
Yeah,
It's like 10 snow events.
Really, if
Okay,
it's a small.
that's
So
fine with
5
me.
should be,
because you can always come back to another council meeting.
Because it would be
If needed more.
we
Okay.
need to use bigger equipment.
That's fine with
It would
me.
Be a snowboard.
Whatever you guys want. I just wanted to get the conversation moving.
And then the summer stuff would be different.
Yes, we can address that later.
Yeah,
So what I hear on the table is a motion of $15. Do you think that's gonna work, Lacey, if we have somebody that we just need to come in and cover the phone? Okay, $15 an hour for office help, you know, ad hoc. If our other 2 backups are unavailable, because you know, reality happens. And then we have a $5,000 bucket for Ryan to figure out what to do with snow. That's what we have on the table. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Brian,
Motion for part-time office staff for up to $15 an hour. And another, at the same time, giving Ryan the availability of a $5,000 allowance to be utilized towards snow services.
okay, I got a first.
second.
Ryan's got the second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Yes.
Before we move on, John, what do we have to do to move or to change snow removal time from 24 hours to 48 hours? on sidewalks and stuff like that.
I'm on board with Ryan on this one.
Because 24 hours is sometimes an impossibility.
Sure.
And I say that for selfish reasons because I can't do mine for at least.
Well, the key is that we won't enforce it. We just won't enforce it until after.
Right, but I would like it to be changed in the
Probably
ordinance.
the ordinance, I'd have to come back with an ordinance. And
First, and the.
See, we already have a snow ordinance, is that what it's
Sure
coming
we
from?
do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then that's one of the ones that we're gonna have to redo.
Okay.
Cause yeah,
okay, that would fold in nicely into that project.
yes,
Okay.
okay.
Make that one of the first ones that you do since it's already on the website.
How many people do you think would use the sidewalk in front of my house and it ends up?
All of them. All of them, everybody. There's some first, always walk back and
People are gonna
forth.
come in and say it's not there.
Walk back,
I don't know who uses it, but
yeah, we'll just walk back and forth. All right, that's awesome.
Well, the easy way around that ordinance is just don't have sidewalks, so got that covered.
Do for now.
For the hours, give some other nature.
what are we in a second?
Okay, so now we're on to 2024 election discussion. We have, are you up for election this week?
Believe I am due. I don't,
Okay,
look,
Yep, you and Brian.
me and Brian,
Mm-hmm.
so did you get elected? All right, okay, I'm not even gonna get into this. There are so many questions because it is not clear.
I was on a 3-year term now for
Here's a 3-year term.
Okay,
because I jumped my seat. I did not go for the 1-year seat again. That
mhm,
was the seat that I had. I went to a 3-year seat because we had lost.
Curie.
Well, it's correct. The way it's set up now is correct.
So,
I think.
so, see,
Now you have a question.
it, you know, and I gotta tell you, I have spent hours on this and the minutes are not clear and it's a big old mess. And so Linda did, a bunch of research on it, but I want to vet it before I come back confidently, which is why this is, I would love for this to be tabled because I want to come back with confidence and make sure it makes sense.
What do we even vote on?
I just want to make sure that we, you know, if you're sure you have an election and if we're sure
It
it's
was
agreed,
21
so.
when he was elected because Aaron Center had the 1-year
Mhm.
term and Travis won the 3-year.
Okay,
And I'm pretty confident that's right.
so but if
Do
McGreevy
you? Lee,
back
do you have
filled
that?
Brendan's, we have to
you have
look
that
at
one again?
Brendan's.
That thing was slicker. It's not.
I know, but I don't know how accurate that is. That's my problem.
Brandon's term.
That's why I want it tabled. Just because it's on a sheet doesn't.
Brian took over for Brendan's term,
But was his at the same time as yours?
then Brian had to run this last one.
Yep, and then his would be, so he hit Brendan,
he was
your
not
term for the same.
Okay, you guys,
Okay, can we
I
just,
literally I wanna audit this. I don't wanna sit and guess. So I put it
Let's
in
just
here because we have to talk about it. Because in January, the paperwork comes, but I need more time to audit this and I wanna be able to show you guys confidently. I do not have complete confidence in it.
I was-
I also have not been on it.
Well, I know that Travis only has 3 years.
Yeah, we know Travis is up. The question is McGreevy.
okay, I make a motion to table this conversation to a later
Okay.
date.
Please do. I'll
I need
second
to
that.
vet that against all the minutes.
Yep. Yep.
So
Or do we generally go on one from each board?
that's what we
Every
need,
2
that's,
I got ignored.
I need, because the minutes are not clear. There's nothing, that's what happens when.
Okay, next one,
Regular-
your building code ordinances.
We didn't have a second.
I second.
Did you second? I didn't hear you.
I did.
They're shattering.
Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't even have to vote.
No, it's just getting tabled.
Oh, 10-4.
Okay. let's
Okay,
move on.
sorry, I didn't mean to get that into a discussion because I wanted to look at it. Okay. So now we're down to building code ordinances that are okay. We're okay with those now?
They've all been approved. I double checked. All the minutes, ordinance, it's all, it's good. Yep.
So what, is going on is we are finding now haphazardly that not all ordinances that we thought are active are actually active. Because sometimes there's a first, sometimes there's a second, sometimes it's not published. And so we're finding ordinances that we thought are legal have not fully realized the process that is the ordinance process. So now we're double checking stuff because we want to make sure everything is legal. So that's what this was about. And so, Lacey vetted it, and it is to our best belief that the building code ordinances are up to date and they are legally executed. So that's where that's at. And if they hadn't been, then we would be talking about that right now and moving them to the next rung of the ladder. Oh my gosh. Are you ready? Hey, you wanna get tabled? You wanna get tabled? You know,
Let's see you guys. You gotta talk.
Justin did a great job. He has a report, it is exceptionally thorough. You did a great job. Thank you. I don't expect you to read it to us. Why don't you just give us the highlights?
Which I'm in order that what Lacey has on the meeting. Agenda there, but the water main leaking project got submitted to Banner, just recap on that, that's water main. Fourth to fifth, 6 to 7, get redundancy on your system. That is funded through SRF and ARPA funds. Just need to make sure that project is, plans are submitted to Banner before March 2024, which we hit that. A project will bid this spring with anticipated construction this summer. /spring. Oak Nash and main lift station improvements, those projects are on the same schedules. We're completing internal QA/QC, gonna get them in Ryan's hands, call it early December. Hopefully no snow, so then he has time to review, then we're gonna get those into DANR's hands, call it on the first of the year. We meet that March timeline. Those two projects will be bid this spring as well, with anticipated construction of the construction season in 2024. Those are also ARPA SRF funded projects. The capital improvement planning, we're pushing along on this one pretty heavy. For the December council meeting, we expect to have a draft report for you guys. That's going to include all of our findings, all the projects, the 5-year plan on funding, financing, everything. So be on the lookout for that. There'll be action packed report. Give it to you guys. Be able to provide comment on it. We'll take those comments, finalize that report. And then January council meeting, we'll be looking at adopting that plan. Again, that's 5-year budget. I'll just get these public improvements completed. I just have on there, not in the report, got it down, Lovely Avenue concepting. Mayor and I have been talking about that, looking at traffic calming measures along Lovely Avenue, low cost items that we can do now to facilitate some of the issues that we're seeing on Lovely Avenue.
Did you hear that, Deb? That was issues on Lovely Avenue to help stop the speeding. We're working on that. Okay,
Seeing is believing.
I know. Just letting you know, it's not without thought.
You could put down some tire properties, Deb.
Yes.
Stop sticks. Just get stop sticks. Throw it out there.
Okay, go ahead, Justin.
And then, do you want me to get the development stuff now, or do we want to just lump that all in?
Let's go when it's on the agenda. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. Maintenance. Streetlight study.
Okay.
Map, which map?
This one.
Look at that.
So pretty much drove around
Hold
town.
on. I gotta find it.
Everybody else has.
Streetlight map. Okay.
Yeah, turn it around.
You want me to turn it?
Rotate it.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, yes. So kind of went around and looked at the whole town and going through the blue, purple spots are existing streetlights. The red dots are where we possibly could put some streetlights just for better things. Going throughout town for some reason, Elm Avenue is about the only town or only spot in town that most of the streetlights are not right on like an intersection. Everywhere else in town, they're pretty much at the intersection. Up in Baltic Heights, that's just a longer pole where you can see there's, on most other spots, there's a streetlight halfway in between on a long block. That would be one to put there. These aren't, as long as it goes, but I know I thought those are kind of concerned areas in town. This light here, I don't know, I think back in the day before we did Elm Avenue reconstruction. I think it used to be over on the corner, because the corner is actually pretty dark. This one is in the middle of the block where, you know, we could move like this one and this one to here, here, then you got your intersections that are going to be lit, and then put a new one here. Cost, you know, save cost, but that's kind of what I went through. I drove through it on, you know, tonight.
Sure.
The concern, well, I guess mine is like the question on the concern is that more for, I know people walking. It's dark, but there's a cost to put streetlights in. So are we trying to help with that? Because driving it, most of the intersections are like, I mean, other than those certain ones, you have a car driving, it's, you know, you can see. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, what are we kind of looking for the scope of these streetlights?
And so Valley View is fine because you don't have that.
Yeah, no, I drew everything that were, there's streetlights on longer blocks and stuff like that. So this is the only spots where there would be long blocks that there isn't a streetlight in there. Valley View's got quite a few. There's on the corners, and then there's two in between on Valley View. Then there's one on Meadows, there's one on Sixth Street, and there's one halfway down on Sixth before you get to Prairie.
I know there's been some concern on Fifth Street and on Sixth Street. So there's, I don't know where we put them, but there's long gaps on Sixth Street and there's long gaps on Fifth Street.
Long apart. Lovely too.
Well, there's actually, and I didn't put them on here, streetlight here, streetlight here. And I think there's a streetlight here.
Okay.
And that's fine. So that's it. I just my thing, there are a lot of streetlights here.
Mhm.
We're not gonna be 41st Street where it's.
Right.
That's what people have to understand, but there are, I mean, there are. On the long blocks, and I'm gonna say up in Valley View, it might be every 4 to 5 houses, there's a streetlight.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's it, but with this new technology of lighting, they are more of a direct approach. They are not casting light for 3 houses. They're casting light for literally 1 house.
Right.
And that's why we have so many dead spots, because everything is switching over to LEDs. So that's one of the things we're not getting that
Your speed.
illumination
Yeah.
from those.
How much of a cost difference would it be to get the LED that spreads out?
I think we're gonna get more complaints if we do that, unfortunately.
And then, yeah, that's it. They would have to revamp all their like poles. I mean, so. I could ask Excel, but I mean, they just put these literally in.
When we talked to Excel, they're like, well, we really like the big wooden poles because they last for 200 years. So I was like, oh, okay. And so-
Just the fixture itself.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that there's more light poles on Fifth Street, so there would be opportunity to put more light there if we.
There are, and that's where they are. So like you say, here is the intersection here. There'd be big by the retention pond, there's a big gap, but then you're literally going, it's like everything in the street, you're going about every 300 feet, there's a light. But yes, the poles are so far off, there won't be really a whole lot of benefit to the street itself. Because that's
It's inset because of the,
where the,
rural water is,
yeah, I mean, where the power lines go.
right?
So that's the hard part is there might not be that there, but that's what I guess my concern is. What are we looking for
What's our?
highway traffic or for driving traffic?
I'm more
There-
looking at Fifth Street where that sidewalk is and it's super dark and if we could turn the light towards the sidewalk, then it would illuminate the sidewalk at least. As an idea, it's just an idea. Cause on Fifth Street, we have that sidewalk that's on the other side of,
For this one?
yeah, that might be an opportunity there. I don't know. Eventually, we're gonna have sidewalks in this town. So, that's one way. to
But
look
we
at it.
don't. Sidewalks. That's the thing, so.
Well, that's what we have to figure out. I'm just here throwing out ideas.
Yeah, and where my concern came with when we first started talking about. this
Second
was,
Street.
Yeah, just how much, especially with Excel, or should we have so much light? Are we allowed so much light? We should have X amount of lights, X amount of this.
He said that we could have as many as we want.
Right,
We can-
that's what I was just making sure. I thought somebody had talked about a light study in the past to see where dark spots are, if we're supposed to have lights there when we're not supposed to, but this.
He
I would make it
basically
out.
said we can put them wherever we
Yeah.
want and he'll just put them in.
Yeah.
Brian,
What are your thoughts about lighting as you're coming past Baltic Lutheran and then you come down the hill towards the bus barn? And I'm asking because the other night I was coming and it was pitch dark out and there was a car in front of me that I was afraid was gonna end up in the new detention pond. Because it was so dark there. I don't know what was going on with them.
Yeah, there is, and it's a long drive, but
You got headlights too.
that's the thing, that's the hard part it's one of those things. If someone ends up in there, it's not gonna be just because of the lighting, it's probably gonna be because of their speed. Because they're going too fast and they're overdriving and. That people tell you people overdrive for conditions and stuff like that. There is that, but there is there is no real utility in that area. So it would be probably not a cheap cost, but then it is a pole that.
And it, I mean, I can't really see where your existing lights are, but is there something leading into Bulldog Avenue? Is there a light at that intersection?
Yeah, I think there is.
Yep, there is one right there by the West Barn and there's one on the opposite.
And there's one up on the top of the hill.
Street. Yep,
It's just not right in the middle of the hill. There is one up there on that top corner.
Yep, they're right by, it's right
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
There's a light there, there's a light down at the bottom, there's just in between there isn't. That is a long drive, but with no residential or anything else that's there, it's
Cars,
in that way, so.
amazing how I've been looking at light posts now. Ever since you brought-
So that's the thing, if for traffic wise, I mean, downhill, if you're driving your speed, you have plenty of light with your headlights on your vehicle.
Mhm.
But I can see the concern of someone walking, but that's the other point with the street light is then we start looking at a sidewalk ordinance and start putting sidewalks.
And that's something that we're gonna talk about. You wanna just bring that up now, Justin, because we were talking about that 5-year sidewalk study.
Yeah, so within the capital improvement plan, we do have 5 years worth of sidewalks identified. Now, I think what Ryan is alluding to, and we're still working that into the plan, how do we fund sidewalks, right?
Mhm.
You know, and I think it's on a yearly basis when we review budget and we see limited amount of funds. You know, either the revenue funds from the city, or you can look at assessment or sidewalk, which is essentially the property owners adjacent to the sidewalks will pay for those sidewalks.
Mhm.
So, Ryan and I were talking today, what I'm gonna do is pull together some analysis on that and how that process works. I'm sure John has some familiarity with that too, so him and I will work together and we can post that to council if that's the method that we want to go through to implement sidewalks within the city.
You know, everybody wants a sidewalk, but nobody wants to pay for it, right?
Well, another thing along that line is what a lot of people don't understand when you assess the property. The cost of the concrete, it will be over time. It's not one lump sum. I've run into that.
For about 7 years.
Yeah, because it's a process over time, because I run into that at my employment. Where we want to pave this alley, for instance, and they said, well, I can't afford that. I can't pay this right now. You're not, it's assessed,
Mhm.
you know.
And that's where, when we look at this plan, we'll have a better idea of maybe what that looks like for taxpayers and what sections of town it involves and what are the real cost of it? You know, if there's any offsetting we can get from certain areas of town, depending on what grants and things are available. And then, you know, what do we need to do for safe walking? I mean, all of us want sidewalks, everybody wants it, you know, but for a long time, people didn't build it that way. Deb doesn't want sidewalks, but
No, I don't want a sidewalk. I've got a 73-year-old husband that I don't want there out there every 24 hours or 48 if Ryan gets that through. No, I don't. I want him using the damn walk path that's right across the highway where all the speeders are going.
yeah.
That's what I want.
They do that walkability grant every year. Because I know that we've applied for that one, how many
But
years?
that particular grant, we're not eligible for because we make too much money as a city.
There's
That's the
some,
trick. Thank you, Jason.
Submitted or two.
right now, it's pretty tight funding within the state. And
Thank
a
you.
lot of people applying for those funds across the state.
Remember, that's what
Part of
ran
it,
into-
our team is always looking, trying to keep a year out for those grants too. You know, as part of that capital improvement plan right now. We got 5 years worth of sidewalk plans that have cost estimates and concepts associated with it. So when
Right.
those do come up, it's a lot easier to pull those into the grant application, work with CCOG. And, you know,
Okay, so I'd say just kind of where those red dots are, kind of take a look at that. If you guys kind of agree with something like that, that maybe we should look at that. Cause I know I'm looking at Janus Circle, the street light that is in the, oh, I forgot to mark it. There's one right here. Oops, forgot that one. It does give ambient light that you can actually see kind of the intersection. It's not like the lights there, but it drifts over to that. So that'll be one. So it kind of takes a look to say, is this one adequate for to cover these areas? And
I'm curious about Second Street because Travis's street is super dark.
there is one, well, I had it on here, but I couldn't.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But there is on Elman Second, there is over by Olkin Second. If it's a lot of light over by Third or Ash,
Mhm.
there's 3 going all the way down.
There's that one that the trees keep falling on every windstorm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
right there, it's good, but
My
yeah,
favorite.
from Travis's isn't so bad. There's one on Ash and Second and Old, but then it's in between Rodney Documents and down there. That gets kind of dark, but
Yeah,
then
that's
there
pretty
is
dark
one.
right there.
Is that one of
Right
the,
on.
is that one on the corner? Back up and running again? I know a tree fell on that one time. I
Back in
don't
the-
remember if that one got put back up.
Yep, that one's, yeah, put up after that one, like 2 years ago, that one, I think, so.
Like I
That's
said,
gonna
I
look
think
pretty when you're all done with it. So,
a lot of the point too is
that corner.
how different the lights are, how they shine. I even noticed that today too, when I was looking at Kona Town, how they shine straight down.
Yeah.
You don't get that old school.
You might
Fan.
get 900, not probably 40 feet of
Mhm.
good light
Right.
in a spot, so it's really hard, it's really done the job.
Are you guys good with him moving forward with those suggested things? Because he's just got to call Excel and then they throw them up there. It alters our billing a little bit, but it's not.
And it might not be, because I think they went through their charges a month ago, or winter things, so they might only be doing projects that were on the books.
But I would love to get on the list, so that way we can tell our citizens that we've done the light study. We have lights coming, and then we can get this, the map is shared. That's my
Are the
recommendation.
poles are expensive and we have to pay them to put the poles in, or they put the.
No, I think it's all just, they just charge us a part of our
Monthly fee.
monthly fee on that. So do you, I guess, look and just confirm if you want to say move this one, they are in the, I mean, realistically, these would cover, you have enough distance there. These ones I'd say are kind of no need, because if you put those here, I mean, boy, that stretch will be very bright compared to
The
everybody
rest
else.
of the town.
And then it's gonna go the other way. It's like, well, why do they have a nice,
That is a very main road though.
It is,
It
yeah.
comes back down.
And I gotta tell you, there's parked cars on both sides of the street, so having a little bit of extra light for pedestrians, I don't think is a bad idea.
Plus
That's my 2 cents.
and all the trees just make it generally darker anyways. How is the old part, like the original part of town? I mean, the blocks are smaller, I think, so.
yeah, and they've got them every intersection this way, so it's no different. You know, they're a little bit shorter, there are not as many houses, but you would have probably 4 houses in the Phoenix block. But every
You had
intersection,
maps for the other parts of town too, where you have that all marked.
no, I didn't do
Okay.
that. I just
Okay.
looked at them and
Okay.
wrote down when I was driving around that if the intersection wasn't lit, where the nearest light was. And even on like Viking, long stretch there, but where Third Street would be, there is a street light there. So I
Okay.
mean, it's,
Gotcha.
and then in Johnson and Trinity, there are 3 lights down the main stretch, 1 on the horseshoe, and then 3 lights coming back and then that. So I mean, they have, like I said, every 3-4 houses, there is a street light, so.
So can I get a motion to give him permission to move forward with this and get us in the lineup?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Travis, Ryan? We got a motion to let you move forward with this project. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, then infant swing update, because everybody wants to take their kid swing and right now in this.
They sent me an email that it was in their stream order, which should be in fall, either this week or next week.
Yay, thank you. Love the update.
That's just one of them, the other one I haven't got any confirmation on.
Okay, thank you. I know that shipping times is a struggle.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to talk to CHS about the
Yeah.
the land?
And I sent, a different kind of light setup, it's another, solar. I couldn't pull up a picture. Could you pull it up on the computer? I can show you the website.
Sure.
You're talking solar lights for the town sign?
Well, it's a little bit, it's an actual solar street light, so it's home and lighting. Yes.
Oops, I didn't put a D.
They don't have it.
Good God. Yeah.
You're doing great, is what I meant to say.
I know, right? God.
Oh, boy.
Home and lighting. Did I get it this time?
Try it. It should pull up some. Yeah, yeah, I think that. Yep. Click on that. And all products. So you can scroll down.
You say that like it's easy.
I'm just gonna put the order in, it's tells me you got a lot.
She's not using the, yeah.
So there's these different setups, whatever. I think if you scroll all the way down, you might have different pictures. You don't know what the website is.
So the short answer is you do have solar solutions.
Yeah, so go back, I'm sorry, just click on it.
Should we look for this discount code to finish our
Yeah.
It's, you signed up to say 5%.
5%?
Go back up to like, where there's like a 300.
Let's just get a camera.
So just click on that one. I mean, it's probably way overkill. This would be a pretty much. a
Could it be
street light.
something like that?
And then scroll down to the bottom and I think it has pictures of where people are using some of those.
You're thinking of hanging one on the top of the sign.
Correct. And, or even I think that, for the Baltic sign is one, but then I think there is an already full.
Lindsay Bar,
Thank you. I didn't notice that.
So you have some, so these are like, so you see that, I'd say it's gonna be more of a, like a street light, it's gonna be that direct light. But it's a different setup, instead of being on, do we try one? Because we're gonna have what's our monthly bill for one of our small utilities.
Oh,
60
and you
bucks.
guys remember, this is on CHS's land. Did you talk to
Correct.
CHS and they're okay?
No, I-
Moving us on
I
from-
think most applications, I tried them again
Okay,
yesterday, I haven't gotten.
okay.
So,
okay,
I think solar's the way to go.
do the bins come into play at all? Because they're right there too.
the bins, well, you'll get your afternoon light, there's nothing that
Yeah.
close that will shade the solar panels. That's why I was looking at the bigger ones, that's a different solar, because on a smaller LED light, it's built into the top of that housing, or wherever you set it, that's where it is. For the other one, with the bigger one, it's more expensive, but then you can actually adjust that solar panel at an angle. But, so that's just a different thing.
That's a
I
great
haven't,
solution.
this was just a thing to bring up while I'm waiting to hear from CHS to see
Sure.
what they say. So.
I like the idea.
it's
But
fine.
I'm not sold on solar just because and granted, mine's a little less powerful than that, but I want my flag and 8 hours of charge time doesn't.
Well, and see, that's
If
the
it
one
would be
thing,
12
they had 14 hours, so if you figure now is. The
We don't
winter
even
months
have-
might be hard.
Right.
Or for 14 hours, you'll 5 to 8,
Mhm.
that light could be. Well, it does have one of them, I think that one did have like a dimmer, so it dim it until it caught motion, then once motion, it would brighten.
Interesting.
I don't know if that would work,
If you
vehicles
you
coming.
could set a timer or something, I mean, you don't need it lit up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I think you should sit out there and just watch.
And that one does. Honestly, they do have, you can set timers, you can set all sorts of stuff on fancier ones. So that's just another option while I'm waiting here. I mean, and that was kind of one of the, someone that works at CHS, he's been kind of looking because he's afraid of what might come when CHS says, hey, you can't have these signs on our property.
Right.
So he's just trying to avoid anything too, so.
Okay,
Okay.
but that would be a fun surprise, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
That'd be,
Okay, so now we'll go back to Elm Avenue.
go back to what?
Elm Avenue. We've had a lot of the storm sewer grates getting popped off. I don't know. My thing is the one we put on today. So in the last year, we put 3 back on. They weigh, I mean, 150 to 200 pounds. I mean, they're not light. So today it looked like the one that was knocked in, there was a vehicle parked probably 40 feet from it. So what I would say, they're going awfully fast when they're on the curb line and it's bouncing. Luckily, they're not bouncing it off the front tire. It must be the rear, so it's dropping in after they go over it. But other than that, or someone's got to be picking them up and dropping them in. So I called DSG, got the voicemail. I'll call them back tomorrow. This was at like 4:30 to see if there is like a bolt locking setup, or we'll make one so we can clamp it down. So it just,
Otherwise, can you just weld
Yeah,
Just lay a bead on
welded.
each corner?
well, you'll want to be able to pull them out.
I understand that, but the tack weld is easy to break.
Yeah.
When it's
So keep it
welder. So I.
Well, the issue is citizens that are out walking their dogs are thinking that the city is neglecting these gaping holes, and that is not the case.
Literally, it's been a week and a half in the same area. One was on the east side of Richards, the other one was on the west side of Richards. So literally it's someone, which is surprising. I think it's gotta be almost a vehicle popping it, but boy, I wouldn't drive that close to a curb going 25 miles an hour, because you're either gonna destroy your tire or your rim. But that's the only thing I can think of, unless someone is manually picking it up.
And why would you do that? Unless
They're-
you're a
they're not
clown
like-
with the red balloon. There's no reason to go down
I
that.
don't
They're not, the clown is not in there, but it'd be fun.
Creepy.
You could put one in there.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. I called the I'll reach out to them tomorrow, see if they,
I haven't seen anything, but I'm thinking you can almost get like some sort of U-bolt, like.
And that's what usually, that's the other thing I think of, is just, we just, you bolt it down, lock it down, and,
Well, farmers are getting slow right now. Somebody could probably fashion something up pretty quick for you.
yeah, so that's, I know.
Do you know anything?
I got my, look at
I'm
that.
gonna say, we've done it before, where I've seen a manhole field, throw a hole,
Yeah.
and put in a manhole, if it's in a flood area, so it doesn't pop. I've done that field, okay. We'll go to street repairs, they're supposedly showing up tomorrow. The disappointing news is they scratched the Lovely Avenue off their list until next year, and I'm just like,
What?
yeah, I figured, because they are doing the school parking lot, so I've been checking with them, yeah, we're coming at the end of the year. And none of the conversations that I've had over the last month and a half, did they ever say they're not gonna do the milling and overlay.
So you're telling me that they're coming here to do the school parking lot, but
And
they're
then
not gonna
they're
do
gonna
our
start
streets?
3 spots where they actually have to cut and replace and fix along curb line. But the worst spot that was the highest priority is not. So the only thing they said, and I just checked my email saying, confirming that they're not gonna do the overlay or the mill and overlay, is we're not doing that till 2024 is what the email said. But they'll look at the spot, because the only thing is I don't think it should be a cost, and I reiterated in our email that they should put a skim coat across at least the worst spots
Mm-hmm.
on Lovely, and hope we can get through the winter.
Especially with winter coming. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, and that's honestly, I've been checking in with them and nothing, yeah, we're the date. End of the year, we're gonna get it there, cause I think they were coordinating that with the school, they're
Mhm.
being in the area. But nothing that they were not gonna do the mill and overs.
Well,
So until today, when I sent them saying, hey, you're coming, right? And then that's when they said, we're not doing the mill.
thank
Can
you
you-
for staying on top of that.
Can you talk to them about edge milling it with their skid loader mill? And then just do a 1.5, 2 inch scratch course over top of it?
We could, it's just gonna raise that road, but I mean.
It'll be such an, if they mill it out far enough, it'll be such a gradual, you'll barely, and if you drive the speed limit, you'll barely feel it.
Yeah, we can,
And
I can
it'd
just
be-
ask them to see what that,
Yeah.
they'll do that. I mean, it's gonna be a different scope of work, and it should cost much because they won't have a big milling machine in, but that's it.
See what you can do.
Yep.
Thanks
So
for
that's
staying on top of it.
because I was, very disappointed with what they sent on that. So,
Mhm.
this is a request more from Ben than myself. He would like us to get some 4 new drive tires for the dump truck, the sander, because he had a issue last year sliding down a hill I just told him you just hit the gas and go faster and get out. Like that was fine. It's very, yeah, it's human on his driving, I just happens, you just, so
What's it gonna cost?
that I don't know if that's what you guys.
Yeah, they're about, oh yeah, they're probably, you can just do a cheap open shoulder drive, for probably 350, 400.
Cause I know we have snow tires on, the second, tandem has like those snow tires, so they're the hand cooks, but they're more for snow and grit, I think.
Mhm.
Where the other ones are just a
Yes,
standard
sir.
drive tire,
Yeah.
so I didn't know, yeah.
There's options, I
Do
mean.
you have money left in your budget after you spent all that money last month,
What money did I spend last month?
2 months ago.
2 months ago?
Oh, yeah.
Do you still have money left in your budget?
We can make this work next year.
He's got
Cracking.
that whole bucket, you gave him a little
I
bit.
know.
Yeah, so that's what I just take a call on. Yeah.
Do we need a motion for that if he's got budget?
Expenses under the amount, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
So
Good.
that, it would be.
We want
yeah,
him to be
very
happy.
good. Yeah, so,
we want Ben to be happy.
yeah, so I'm used to driving with that, so I just.
Are they shot on the back of that thing? Are they finned or not? I mean, they just need a different design to tractor around better.
They are just that old. I don't know if they put the tandem where the Ford new years ago, or if that's what it was. I mean, they're old tires. They weren't new. When the city got the truck 4 years ago, they weren't new tires on it. So it's just,
Oh, so it probably does need new tires.
yeah, I mean, it's probably what came from Cottage Grove or something up in the city. So
Is it a rear end sander on the dump truck? It's on the back of the hill.
Nice.
That's how we do, that's how we like
You guys, it is 20 to 10. What else you
So the
got?
last thing, this is gonna be
He
the
wants to spend money.
touchy thing. I had made a contact, called the school, Randy at the school, because in the St. Olaf, we push our snow. We went from a 12-foot push box to a 14 between the posts of the sign where our approach is 16 feet. I've hit it before when we had the bigger push box before. It's hard because it's hard to squeeze 14 feet and 16 feet when you're backing up or driving through it. So I asked them, could we move it?
You're talking the Nordic field sign?
Yes, move it. I go to the south a little bit and put it in the boulevard. We kind of said maybe up by the rocks that are in the corner. But then when I was driving later, I was going up 4th Street, and I was like, well, realistically, probably not a lot of people know that that's been part of the school back in the history. Well, they got the community garden sign there, and I was like, well, why can't we just go up and over that and put it there? That way people going into the school can see, well, what's this Nordic field? I know back in the day, we never wanted to remove it because it is history, but then it's still there. It's in the right way. I pushed around it before, but it's one of these things that it's dependent on how.
So you're asking to move it before you knock it over?
Correct.
Ryan, I have a suggestion. Okay. When I toured the community garden with Dr. Eric Bass, the new superintendent down there, we were standing in amongst the raised beds and we had a car come through that thing that you're talking about, zip, 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 all the way down the edge and boom, down the hill into where the bus barn is.
Yeah.
And his eyes got about this big. And when the community garden committee met with him afterwards, one of the things Dr. Bass wants is he wants something put up down there that can form a barrier and still give us access to that long run along our raised beds. Why don't you ask if you can move it there and we'll run a chain from point A to point B to block it off so people aren't doing what Dr. Bass doesn't want. And yet it's still there and it's functional and it's out of your way.
And that's what I was just coming here because I know that I think the school, it's part of the history, didn't really, they thought with when Mr. City was there, Bob, that they didn't want it moved. I'm just to the point that
We kind of need it.
It'll easily get moved one way or the other.
Little school board.
I told Randy to talk to Dr. Bass to see what he thinks, and it's not removing it, it's just moving it so it's out of my way.
But to clarify, he wants he wants us to give him a blessing to remove it from where it's at now, so we can remove snow with knowing full well we relocate it.
And what I'm saying is.
I hear what you're
instead of
saying, yeah.
Putting it where the spouting, trellising is, you move it this way, and then it's functional, and it gives him what he wants for blocking.
Well,
And still allows access, because we're never gonna take it.
and if that's when we'll kind of talk to them, because it could be,
Yeah.
at the corner by the bus barns. I mean, wherever they want it. I think it, cause
It's their sign, but it's on our land,
Right,
is
so I
what's
just
going
don't
on.
want the blessing of the school before you just go.
correct, where they want it to go.
So let's give Ryan permission to talk to us and the school board about this, so we can move forward with it and figure something out.
Yeah, I'm probably having a conversation.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, okay?
That's all.
It's better than knocking it over and then having to deal with a
Yeah.
damaged sign. So, and a lot of our snow goes there.
No motion needed, right? Just permission.
Yep,
Perfect.
okay. Anything else?
No, I think that's.
Lacey, you're up.
I'm super quick. We've moved ahead with switch over for the finance software to G-Works, and we've already sent over or I've already sent over the first setup of all the code and the pricing, and it's moving along real smooth. They have incredible training options available. It's really nice. Really nice.
Cool.
Anything else? That's super easy. Lacey Harrington is having technical difficulties, so she wrote me a note here. Let's see here, casserole cook-off. We had over 35 attendees, which was cool. We had 8 casseroles for the Great Midwest Casserole Cook-Off. The winners were best presentation was Brenda Anderson, best tasting was Virginia Hill, and most unique was Sierra Hoffman with her jalapeno mac and cheese.
It's good.
I know.
It was good.
It was good. So Brenda Anderson, what did she have? She had taco stew,
Taco soup.
taco soup, but it was really cool. And Virginia Hill had the granny goulash. And then People's Choice was Ann Aberson with her
Beef stew and corn.
beef stew and cornbread. Yep.
Mhm.
So it was really good and filling. The judges were Chef Kyle Adams, Janelle Wilson, and Rita Adams. So that was that event. Great success. Everybody was really happy with it. So the next item that was coming up was Santa Days. And Santa Days is a challenge for Lacey Harrington and I, because neither one of us have ever attended it. Now, Dog Days was an easier lift because we've been there, we kind of knew what was going on, and there was structure. We don't have that structure that we've had in the other event. And so what we did is Lacey reached out to a couple of people at the PTO and also in Baltic to see if they would want to take on Santa Days, because it's kind of out of our purview. We don't have a lot of confidence that we're able to execute it. And so their response was that although they'd love to do something like this, it isn't something that they're equipped. All right, I'm sorry, PTO said that they weren't going to take that on this year. And so we don't really know what to do because we don't have the ability to execute this on a dime. And so I guess this is more of a call out. If somebody wants to take on Santa Days, we're happy to support you. We're happy to, but we don't know what to do. And I've never attended it, so I'm kind of handicapped. So that is my call to action of anyone that wants to take that on. Cindy?
I think, I think Angela Aspas had it up at the school, the old school.
Angie didn't do it because Angie's the one that directed us over to PTO.
The only one that-
Well, it's been a few years. It's been quite a few years.
I'm the only ones I remember were way back when they used to do them with Legion,
Yeah,
back when I was kids.
When Carrie dropped the stuff off, she didn't give us a lot of direction.
I
And,
don't remember the details.
and we don't have anything to go off of. So if there's anyone that wants to take that on, they sure can. And so I'm gonna be up to my eyeballs in ordinances. So that's where I'm at with that. Okay,
Bunch of cool decorations for anybody that wants to do
yeah,
it.
there's a bunch of cool decorations, or if the auxiliary wants to take that on, they're more than welcome.
Well, and past recent years, it's been a visit from Santa. Marissa Whipple has set up a photo booth for taking
Yep.
pictures with Santa.
Mhm.
The Notes of Praise and other assorted Jingle Bell singers have done caroling during the event. There's been baked goods, cider and coffee available.
Sounds like you want to take this on.
No, I'm just. I will be out of state.
Nice.
And then, the really neat thing of it is two of my more recent memories of it, we had left that event and gone caroling as a community group up at Del Rapids to your shut-ins in your old folks home and retirement communities
Nice.
there.
Well, what I can say is that we are completely open to working on something for next year. But I don't know if where we're at today is gonna allow us to do it this year, but we can certainly work towards next year. So that's gonna.
And it has been really a community, the river community's been involved with the big part of it. Because it's Sally. And,
If Sally wants to take it on, reach out to her.
I don't know.
Yeah,
And she right now isn't available because she's gone.
well, we are wide open to helping somebody else take that particular event on. So, wide open. And so, let's see here, John,
Yes,
anything?
on legal updates, the Legion, I think there's been no forward movement,
Okay, that's fine.
so.
That's what I needed. We have lots of things to do and lots of different things being spread in lots of different directions. So this is just, use that as a ticket to remind you. Any updates from the council?
Not here.
Okay, then, I guess I need to have a motion to move into executive session. I need to call Justin and Ryan into that session. And-
I'm negative. Down in your.
Yep. Settlement agreement.
It will be after.
Make the motion to move into executive session, including Justin and Ryan.
Okay, it's
At
9:51.
Yep, thank you.
Ryan did the first. Who's got the second?
I'll second.
Nikki's got the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, Parker, does Parker need to
I
come?
want
Or need to come too?
to, okay,
Okay,
wants to,
okay.
we'll get that done.
It's a learning.
Okay,
experience.
so here's what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stop recording and,
Yeah, like,
and then I'll just put the thing on mute.
took the kid, the wife took the kids to Derek and as I was coming here.
Okay, so the recording is stopped. I'm gonna put this on mute.